A night in with MauLer and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen dinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop up the cork, have a glass of wine, that's they'll say I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, MauLer and the critical drinker.
All right, hello, you lovely people out there. Hope you're having a fantastic evening or morning or whatever the hell it is for you. I am here once more to welcome you to Open Bar. I wasn't even here last week because I was down in London doing an interview with the lovely people at Trigonometry. So hopefully that interview should be out pretty soon. But I am back and we're ready to do the next Open Bar. Sadly, though, I am without my co-host for the evening because MauLer is a little bit under the weather this evening. It turns out that even extra-dimensional Lovecraftian monsters can also get struck down with the Lorgy. So he's unfortunately not able to join us. I think he might have got Stuckmanized a little bit too hard last night. So we're gonna try and pick up the slack for him. But fortunately, we've got a big panel of guests in this evening, so we will do our best to make up for the loss of the long man. So anyway, I will start bringing in my guests, and I'm going to bring in the first one here, making his return to the Open Bar. It is the one and only Reaper. Hello, my friend. How you doing?
Hi, thanks for having me back.
It's excellent. It's always good to have you back, man. And yeah, I've been enjoying your reviews recently. Your review of Madam Web was excellent, I've got to say. It's just like you tore it a new one, as most people have.
Yeah, well, it's not very hard to do. I think everyone said it was dog shit.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But, you know, it was fun to talk about, at least for a while. So, yeah, it was all good stuff. We all got a good laugh out of it. But it's good to have you back on the bar, man. So thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having me.
Alrighty, next up. This gentleman is also making his return. I think this is his second time on Open Bar. It is Darkhour.
My fourth.
The hour is truly dark.
What's my fourth time. It's my fourth time.
Fourth time on Open Bar. Is it really?
Yeah.
Wait, no, you're counting the happy hours in that as well, aren't you?
Nope.
Seriously?
No.
Damn.
Godzilla when I was green because I didn't understand how to do lighting. There was that time you did it on that random Wednesday, and one time before that. I don't remember what. Oh, that was Across the Spider-Verse. So there you go. So fourth.
Wow. Damn, time does indeed fly. Oh, well.
Yeah, and then happy hour.
If you count that. Yeah, you're a veteran of the bar at this point then. Well, it's good to have you back in. Thank you
for having me.
Awesome. All right. This next gentleman, this is him making his debut on the Open Bar, actually. But I was introduced to him through Darkhour, actually, and got a chance to watch some of his videos. Done great breakdown of movies, particularly classic stuff, actually. Excellent work on movie analysis. It is the Uninspired Reviewer. Welcome to the Open Bar, man.
Good evening. Thanks for having me on, man.
It's good to have you here. And yeah, thanks for coming in for this. It's like I say, it's good to have you on. And I very much enjoyed your breakdown videos. They've been good stuff.
Thank you very much, man.
I can definitely recommend it for people who want to understand a little bit more about not just writing, but you know, the mechanics of good movie making. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you.
But it's well, okay. We've also got Chris Gore, who's going to join us slightly later. He's going to talk about Dune too, because he's one of the few people who's seen it already, and lucky guy that he is. So he'll join us in an hour or so to fill us in on that. And Tyrone Magnus is on his way right now, so he'll be here shortly. But you know what? I didn't want to keep you guys waiting, so I feel like we should just kick things off. And I don't know. It's been quite a week for Madam Web and Sony.
Yes, dozens of people have seen it.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I mean, it's a funny one because I think we were talking about this backstage. It's like the storm around this movie weirdly just seems to have grown and grown, and the film at the center of it is just like the eye of a tornado. It's like this weird, calm, blob of nothingness. Like it's just a crap movie that nobody really is interested in. But like the storm of controversy that seems to have grown around it just seems to be getting worse and worse. It's weird. I don't know. Maybe there's just not much going on right now in cinema, so people are just talking about this. But it's one of those films that has done exactly what we predicted. You know, it's a movie. Yeah, exactly.
Nothing.
It's a movie.
It's done nothing.
It's done nothing. Yeah, it's a film about a character that nobody has ever heard of, in a genre that people increasingly don't care about, released at a time of year that nobody goes to the cinema anyway. And so, it seems like everything was stacked against it, and it's a garbage movie to boot. So, funnily enough, it's flopped.
Yeah, I mean,
disastrously.
Go ahead.
There hasn't been a Brie Larson telling us to go fuck ourselves. Like, there's not.
That's true. Well, Dakota Johnson just seems to be like, yeah, this movie's fucking shit.
Yeah,
She's
she's
like,
literally
she's
she's the anti
women.
Brie Larson. She's
Which
like
would make
literally
you think-
telling everybody right.
You'd think you'd like the film more because you're going, at least the actresses are fine. But like, everyone.
Well, they cover them up
just as
and they
much the
don't even put
Marvels.
them in suits.
They somehow did the impossible and they made Sydney Sweeney look boring and unattractive. Like, why would you do that? What do you gain by doing that?
The male gaze, drinker. The male gaze.
I mean, this
can't
is
be
what
having
happens. I hate to be the guy to say it, right? But this is what happens when you put women in charge of movies like this. It's like,
I mean,
give
there's
the
other
audience what
problems.
they want, surely.
There's other problems. I mean, they had like one of the worst marketing campaigns of all time I think I've ever seen. The bait and switch nature of the film has given it a negative reputation. Like, oh, it's not even what you've seen in the trailers are cut from essentially an older film that got
Very
reshot.
deceiving.
It's very
Yeah.
deceiving. And there's literally, it's got to be at least 5 or 6 scenes in the trailer that are not even in the movie. So that
Well, I think
right there.
whatever you see of the 3 girls in the Spider-Girl costumes is in the trailer. That's literally all you get in the movie. Like you
Yeah,
say,
they're
that is the
inconsistent.
ultimate bait and switch. Yeah, it's stuff that doesn't even happen in the context of the film. It's just a flash forward, I suppose.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
the possible future.
Yeah, you see it. I watched the movie. I think it was 2 hours ago. I legitimately do not remember anything about the film except for how bad Dakota Johnson's acting was in one particular scene. But even then, the just the costumes looked horrible. Even just having them there for 30 seconds, and her costume at the end when you see her in the proper Madame Web attire, I guess that's what you can call it. It looks like a dollar store costume. It's so bad.
Yeah.
All of them do. Every this is whoever was in charge of the costume department needs to seek
Be fired.
employment elsewhere because this was some of the worst costuming I've ever seen.
It's some of the worst film stuff that I've
Well,
ever
I'm just talking
seen.
about
Like,
that specifically from the
That's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
one part,
Yeah, and it's like
one
the
part
dialogue,
of many.
the weird ADR, the terrible cinematography, the
Oh yeah, snap zooms, digital
the
snap
absolutely
zooms, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah, the
I-
terrible acting. Like
I was getting
nobody gave a
headaches.
fuck in this movie.
I was getting like vertigo from all the snap zooms and the weird effects that they put around whenever stuff was happening. It just it
I
triggers
guess
something.
maybe they were trying to emulate early 2000s Michael Bay, but even then,
I mean,
don't
they
even
literally
understand
ripped
what
the
they were
scene. They
doing.
literally ripped the scene right out of Spider-Man 2, I believe, and slapped it right on. Like they just
Jesus.
didn't even change it. So yes, they weren't just trying to emulate the early 2000s. They were literally ripping from the early 2000s.
Yeah, well, they emulated Catwoman pretty well. They gave us, more shit.
That is very true. Yeah, it's yeah, man. Like I say, it's just one of those movies that it seemed like we all predicted it was flop. It did. And that kind of should have been the end of it, but it just feels like people are really going in on this movie. And like you say, it might be the bait and switch nature of it. It might be just the fact that there's not much else out right now. It might be that it's one of your first major flops of the year. I don't know. Like there just seems to be something about it that just seems to have grown and grown. Maybe it's the fact that even the actresses that are in it are kind of taking part in the taking of the piss of this movie. I don't know, man.
I think
Everyone's
that's
killing it.
probably it. That's probably it. That like normally at least the actors will fight back, and they're not even bothering. Either they're not saying anything or they're actively joining in on the bashing.
But the mad thing is, Sydney Sweden, who does nothing in the entire film, is like the most famous person out of it because of how she looked on the premiere.
Yeah,
That's
yes.
true.
That's
That's
literally it. It just
that
she had
is
a big
pretty much
bit
it.
out.
Yeah.
That's literally, and everyone's going, "Oh, Sydney Sweden, like, why is she so popular all of a sudden?"
Yeah.
There's two reasons why.
I wonder. Yeah, I wonder.
I think it's almost like she knew, like, okay, the movie's going to be absolute garbage. I've got to do something to salvage something good out of this. What can I do? Okay, I'm basically going to show up naked to the premiere and just hope for the best.
The other two actresses, nobody's talking about but her.
Yeah.
She's walking away looking better somehow just by showing up in a sexy outfit.
Well, she showed up and she literally said nothing. She was just like, I'm going to show up, shut up, and look good.
But
so
I'm just going to show up. I'm Sydney Sweeney.
She undermined Dakota because she came in a dress that looked naked, and then unfortunately she came in as well. And nobody looked at her.
Dakota Johnson looked completely naked at the premiere. I even zoomed in. I was like, what is going on? What is
some impressive, impressive like flesh-colored underwear or something going on. But it's weird because it's like it's one of those it's one of those examples where you put like Dakota Johnson's a solid 9, like, but you put a 9 next to a 10 and suddenly it looks like a 6. It's just
it's like with a mum.
Really unfortunate.
But it's mad though. It's like they go, "Oh, male gaze, we'll take it out the movie," but then it's all on the premiere.
Yeah.
They all just moved there.
Like I say, I think they all went into survival mode and just thought, what can we do to try and salvage some kind of positive press from this? Yeah, we'll just,
Yeah, knowing Sony, they'll probably re-release it in a few months because of the memes like Morbius. See if they can crack down a few more.
I know, that's the sad thing. We can't even meme the studio now because they've gotten wise to that, and it is a shame.
It's like your dad's embracing it, and you just go, "Oh, I don't want to do it now. He's doing it. It's not cool."
Yeah,
anymore.
It's not cool anymore.
Honestly, I really think that somebody in their whatever department should have been like, "Hey, why don't you actually put the line 'it's webbing time' in there? That might might help."
Yeah,
and it might as well just go full in on the meme, and they didn't even do that. So
they could have, because I assume at some point they must have realized like this is garbage what we're producing. They should have just embraced the stupidity of it and just made it almost like a parody, and just had fun with it. At least then you could have got something positive out of it. As it stands, like, wow. And I've got to applaud Sony because I said this on the previous open bar. I think you've got the two major comic book or superhero universes. You've got the MCU, which was massive and it was a big juggernaut, and now it's just kind of like this car that's running on empty and just kind of coasting on its momentum. You've got the DCEU or the DCU, whatever the hell they're calling it now, which has just been a constant series of false starts and failures. But it's still big because it's got characters like Batman and Superman and stuff with it. So it's got that. Then you've got this tiny little universe that Sony have tried to birth using whatever residual rights that they have. They've got Spider-Man. They've got some of the subsidiary characters. They've got Venom. And they're trying to make like this crappy little shared universe out of that, particularly now at a time when no one even cares about these movies anymore. No one cares about superhero films anymore. They're releasing Venom 3. They're releasing Madam Web. They're releasing Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah.
It's like this dude who shows up 3 hours late to the party and just he's ready to go and everyone else is heading home.
I'm wondering what characters they actually have like the rights to, because there's so much crossover with villains and stuff.
I think it's all the Spider-Man villains.
Yeah, but what counts the Spider-Man villain? Like Spider-Man and Kingpin are intrinsically connected, and he's been part of that for a long time. And then Kingpin's over in the MCU, so it's like
Kingpin and Daredevil. So I think it's
but it's like I would love to see the way that contract is written, because it's got to be really strange who they have rights to if these are the ones they're landing on, because there's definitely other villains that are way more well known that they could be using.
I know you wouldn't like to see the contract, because if you saw the contract, it would go, Kingpin must be cooked by a lovely, intelligent woman who's amazing. You just see in everything.
That's only in Disney, though. That's the thing. Like Sony, I'm sure would take a different approach, but
boring and dark. And
my favorite thing about this is that they didn't even know where they wanted to put it in their own continuity. They've like Sony isn't, like Disney is bigger than Sony, obviously, but like Sony's no slouch when it comes to being a production company. They've been around for a long time. They're huge, and their department couldn't even figure out like what do the ages match up? Where should we put this? And I've never seen that before. I've never seen a film not be able to be placed in a continuity of a shared universe.
I'll tell you why, right? And it's the director of the movie has a real fondness for the early 2000s. And I only know this because when I was on MauLer's EFAP stream last night and we were all getting Stuckmanized to the brink of our lives, he brought up a quote from the director and saying, we said it in 2003 because that's when I was young and I've got loads of fond memories of that time. And I thought it would be really cool and nostalgic to set a movie in that time period. And that was pretty much the extent of their thinking on that one. They just, she wanted to set it in that time.
There's nothing wrong with that thought process, but you also then need to take into account other factors if you're trying to fold it in with the Amazing Spider-Man or, you know, whichever one you're trying to do it with. You have to at least account for that. And they didn't even bother until they got to reshoots. So,
I mean, I'll be totally honest. Like, I hate what Spider-Man has become because Spider-Man is no longer a character. Spider-Man is like a shared universe unto himself. He's like a mini MCU or something. There's a million different variations of him. You know, you've got the Amazing Spider-Man series. You've got the MCU Spider-Man with Tom Holland. You've got the animated ones across the Spider-Verse and stuff. Like all these different variations. Then you've got like Madam Web trying to do like a female version of Spider-Man. It never fucking ends.
Yeah, there's even the new live action Spider-Man Noir that they're trying to rope Nicolas Cage to get into, which is like, even more Spider-Man.
Like I say, he's no longer a character with his own identity. He's just a brand. Like Spider-Man is just a brand that you can import any sort of character into.
That's kind of that's like variation. That's basically a fallout from years ago when they had to fold everything in to get Miles Morales over into the main continuity of the 616 universe. They essentially had to explain that in the comics that there's a bunch of different Spider-Men and we're going to bring this one over. And then it's just permeated everything now. It's permeated the cartoons, it's permeated the movies, it's permeated everything that you can imagine with Spider-Man. And it's weird because technically all of the characters are like that. There's infinite versions of every character because they can just make a new universe whenever.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
But they specifically go at it with Spider-Man for some reason.
They do, yeah, because they don't just give variations. They're all unique characters, or at least they try to make them into that. So, like, they've got the coolness factor of being the web-slinging, like, bodysuit character, you know, who's got all the elements of Peter Parker, but they just want to do all these infinite variations of him because they can all be marketed separately and they can all make money separately with minimum creativity involved. So, yeah, I mean, I see it from the studio point of view, but god damn, as a viewer, it's depressing to see.
It is, especially considering that Spider-Man is considered, I think, one of the #1 comic book heroes ever.
He's the
everyone's favorite.
He's the most popular, most profitable Marvel hero. Superman and Batman are still above him in most metrics, but he is the #1 Marvel, and he's really close to it. It's not like
it fluctuates. If
fluctuates.
Spider-Verse comes out, he comes on top, and then if Batman comes out, he's on top.
Historically, though, if you look at the trends, Superman and Batman have pretty much always been the top guys since the 30s. It's just the way it is.
Just before we go on, I'm going to bring in our next guest. It is the one and only Tyrone Magnus. Good day to you, my friends. Welcome to the bar.
What's up, everybody?
We're just discussing how much we love
the booming
Madam
voice
Web.
coming through.
Yeah. We were just talking there about how like Spider-Man is less of a character now and he's more just like a brand. He's like a shared universe that anyone can inhabit at this point. And it's becoming, I don't know, it's the ultimate example of diluting a character to the point where he no longer exists, really. It's just infinite ways that you can market that idea of Spider-Man. And it just seems like
because of the different versions.
Yeah, we've got Peter. We've got the Andrew Garfield one. We've got the Tobey Maguire one, the old one. We've got the Tom Holland one. We've got the Miles Morales one. We've now got Madam Web. We've got the 3 other Spider Women or whatever that they're trying to get going with this. It just never ends. It's just becoming more and more convoluted and ridiculous.
Just wait till they pull the trigger on Ben Reilly, Scarlet Spider. Then it's going to get even worse when they finally do that.
We've got Spider-Gwen as well from the
Silk
Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Silk.
Didn't that kill Silk? I didn't even know it was getting made, but they said Madam Web just like has forced everyone to be fired.
I was going to talk about that actually. So is it Silk Spider Society for Amazon Prime? They were making that.
Yeah.
And they've fired the entire writing staff, and apparently they are going back to the drawing board because they want to focus it more on a male skewing audience. And I actually literally just made a video about this like yesterday, talking about it, because it's like it's the first time they've openly acknowledged that, hey, the bulk of like the audience for these superhero movies is men. And no matter how much we try to change that, it just hasn't changed. It hasn't shifted. And catering to women isn't really selling movie tickets.
Nope.
It's a weird one, but it's interesting.
It only took them like 8 years to figure that out, but whatever.
It's been a while, yeah. It has been a while.
It's like trying to sell Barbie to men.
It really is. It's
they would have to make it pornographic to make it sell. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're not going.
I think the crossover tends to go one way, though. I think, to be fair, right? I think probably more girls are going to be interested in those traditionally boy subjects, whether it's superheroes, whether it's like sci-fi, action, whatever. There's probably more of a crossover from female to male than there is from, say, male to traditionally female things, like whether it's like romance movies, whether it's musicals, those things that are traditionally associated with women. So their crossover is there, but like I think it was Chris Gore who described it as they were boy brands that everyone could enjoy. Like women could get into things like Star Wars, they could get into things like superhero movies, they could get into Star Trek. They've tried to turn them into girl brands, but they've become girl brands that nobody can enjoy now.
Right.
Because they pander so hard that everyone's put off by it.
Yeah. It makes me wonder. Oh, sorry.
No, carry on.
This makes me wonder how you guys were talking about the dilution earlier. Is that, we know about all these different Spider-Men, these endless Spider-Men that existed. It just makes me wonder if they had good writing and done it right and geared it toward the audience they should have, would we be okay with it now? We might be like, it's diluted, but damn, that was a good movie. It's too many Spider-Men, but it was still good. You know what I mean?
I think, theoretically, if they'd all been amazing, then okay, you're not going to reject great movies that tell great stories. It's just that's not what we're getting, because there's an over reliance on just the Spider-Man name or the idea of Spider-Man. Like that alone is going to be enough to sell your movie, and it isn't.
It was for a long time.
Exactly. Like in cinematic universes, Spider-Man has been rebooted. What's the max time between a Spider-Man reboot between live action films? 5 years, I guess, because you had Spider-Man 3 was 2007, Amazing Spider-Man 2012, and then right after that you had 2016 Civil War, first appearance of Tom Holland. So we've never had a moment without Spider-Man since 2002. So it's just complete saturation at this point.
To some extent, it's a rights issue as well. If you don't make movies, like say if Sony just stopped making Spider-Man movies, the rights would eventually revert to Marvel because they're time limited.
Yep.
I wonder if they would have just continued, like instead of rebooting to Amazing Spider-Man, if they would have just continued the Tobey Maguire storyline, but just recast him and kind of do the James Bond thing. I wonder if how that would have changed things. That's one thing I've always wondered.
I don't think they would have got away with that back then. I think they would have just started again, which is kind of what they did with Andrew Garfield.
They did it.
And it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of a shame because, it would have been interesting to see what Spider-Man 4 might have been with less interference with like what we got in 3. But we kind of got our unofficial Spider-Man 4 with No Way Home. When we got to see all the Spider-Man together.
Yeah, it was the unofficial Amazing Spider-Man 3 and, further.
Yeah. So. Yeah. That at least worked out well for Andrew Garfield. He got his redemption arc, I suppose. So it was nice to see him back. Yeah.
But yeah, that was when they even started saying about restarting at least one of the two, if not both continuities in their own kind of things. And
Sony would want their own thing with Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, where they would, I guess, make him fight against the weird villains that they have coming up in their original movies. But they're making all the villains anti-heroes, which is just kind of beats the point of them being villains.
They skipped past the Venom being a villain and went right to like his lethal protector age when he was the anti-hero. So
the Venom movies fucking baffle me. I will never understand them. The first one made like $800 million.
Yeah.
Like, fucking how? Who went to see it and why?
What year did it?
I liked it. I did. Totally guilty pleasure. I liked it.
But here's the question, right? Can you remember a single fucking thing that happened in that film? I can't.
Yeah, I did. I really liked.
I don't.
Eddie Brock became Venom.
If that's pretty much it. But if you'd asked me like the day after that movie, like, so what happened in Venom, Drinker? Like, break down the plot.
I remember
for me.
Tom Hardy in a fishbowl.
I was going to say the restaurant scene.
That was it. That's the only scene I remember.
So it came out in 2018. That was like literally the peak of superhero movies. So that
was Infinity War, right?
Infinity War, yeah, because Endgame came out in 2019. So it was the peak of the superhero genre. So yes, it did have an artificial bump, probably gained about 200 million or so, only from the fact that was what people were still wanting to consume. I would guess. I mean,
how much did Carnage make?
Oh, I
no idea. Yeah, Let There Be Carnage was horrible.
It was just super.
About 500 mil. So it dipped by about 300 million. So yeah, that height of popularity probably gave it an artificial boost of anywhere from 200 to 300. So,
I mean, it carries on this trajectory. The Venom 3 is going to make what, 250, 300 million, maybe?
Yeah,
probably.
Because it's probably going to cost like 150 million easily. Like, these Venom movies are not cheap to make. There's a lot of VFX involved.
Almost all CG. So.
They are, yeah.
At least Sony tries to cut back down on the expenses, unlike Marvel. They don't have budgets of 200 million. They kind of try and keep it between, let's say, 100, 120 max. But even then, it's not profitable for them.
Well, I've been told that, like, whatever you see reported, like, say, the budget for Madam Web, this is one of the rare examples that what they actually spent was probably less than what they reported. Like, Sony are insanely cheap when it comes to their movies these days.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That's what I've been told by people that have worked with them. And
hasn't Joker? Hasn't the second Joker gone up to 200 million?
Apparently,
it's learned the wrong lessons.
It really has. What could be in it that would cost 200 million?
Lady Gaga
sequences or something.
Yeah, there'll be loads of abstract shit that like it doesn't need to be in.
Exactly.
And like he'll be too indulged because when he had a budget, he could work against it. It forced him to be a bit more creative.
Yeah, not even that. I mean, just Todd Phillips himself is a low-budget filmmaker, so he knows how to do it. I think that if you just throw a lot of money at a low-budget filmmaker, he's gonna mess up for sure.
Yeah, I mean, well, the first Joker was literally just a gritty urban crime drama that happened to have some iconography from Batman. That was it. It was people in rooms walking through streets, like really simple stuff. Very little VFX, very little anything. It was just a basic movie, and it was great. People loved it. Why? Because it was well written. It didn't rely on spectacle, and it didn't rely on gimmicks. It wasn't a musical. It wasn't like some big alien invasion thing. It was simple, but it was a well-made movie. And yeah, like I think you guys are right. I think they might have learned the wrong lessons, and bigger isn't always better when it comes to stuff like this.
Honestly, I think it's going to be artsy-fartsy, weird dream sequences just because of the title, Folie à deux. Like, if you're familiar with, I guess, psychological terms, Folie à deux is it's French, but it means shared psychosis or shared delusion. So, I mean, or spoiler alert for people in the chat, maybe it's just everything was in his mind. That's how the movie is going to end, based on, of course, the title. That's what I read personally. But I don't know, maybe they're trying to turn it into a nice musical, a la Singing in the Rain, really big sets where
that's what I think of when I think of Joker.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but I mean,
rom-com.
Total fever dream shit, dancing around, hallucinating.
There's always, it does feel like there's some sort of Peter principle thing going on with a lot of these directors recently, getting these, they'll do these one or two small budget. Who was like the woman, I forget her name, the one who did the Eternals, who like her like movie was
Chloe Zhao.
Like all she did was like the film she did before that was just like people driving around and stuff, like no.
Oh yeah, so that was God, what's it called?
Was that
Nomadland? Yeah, that was it.
And
that,
then it's
that was not a technically demanding film to make.
Yeah, and then they get placed in these positions with these giant budgets, and they're like, "Well, I don't know what to do with all of this." They've never dealt with this kind of stuff before. So
Todd Phillips, I would have more faith in, because he has got a more of a filmography behind him. He's got more experience behind him.
Yeah, he's got the
Chloe Zhao is
trilogy.
like taking an indie filmmaker and then suddenly put her in charge of a $200 million movie. That was never going to work. And it honestly, it felt like one of those examples where the director just got lost in their own project. Like there was not a single ounce of originality in that film in the slightest.
Yeah, and Todd Phillips has proven himself as a capable director, on his own. So, I mean, he did War Dogs, which is a pretty good movie. I don't know if you guys have seen it, with Jonah Hill and Miles Teller. So, I guess, well, a war movie, as the name suggests. But, I mean, he's also done the Hangover trilogy.
Road Trip.
Of course, Joker. Yeah, Road Trip as well.
Yeah. I think with this, I'm still struggling to accept Lady Gaga as an actress. Because I know other singers have tried their hand at acting and it doesn't always work out great. I wish I'd seen A Star Is Born, because apparently she does a really good turn in that, but haven't seen it yet.
I will say that at least it's not her first attempt at it, so she's at least had a little bit of practice.
No, it's not like we're throwing Taylor Swift into a movie or anything. Like,
that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Give it time.
No, I think it's going to happen very soon, actually. So
yeah, but with this, I'm not sold on the musical idea.
No, I've never seen Lady Gaga in a movie. Actually, I haven't seen any of the two movies. She was in House of Gucci and A Star Is Born, if I remember correctly, and that was it. House of Gucci was critically panned. So...
We've been corrected, by the way. Taylor Swift was in Cats. We've been corrected. Sorry, chat. Sorry, chat.
Even she didn't save that movie.
I try to forget that movie exists. So apparently, I'm doing a pretty good job.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, like the Joker 2, the jury's out on that one. I think I guess I'll give it a try, just because I liked the first movie and I liked what it did. I assume she's going to be playing Harley Quinn or a variation of Harley Quinn. That's the
I think that's a variation.
Yeah, this is something that I'm kind of over now. I feel like we're suffering from Harley Quinn fatigue. I don't know how to
horrible.
I don't know how to describe it, but it's like she is, back from the comics and stuff, and even like the animated series, like she was kind of an interesting character, but in small doses. And then it's like they did the Margot Robbie version, and holy fuck, they've tried so hard to make that character work. They've just put her into everything. Mm-hmm. So we've got this version of Harley Quinn, we've got the Margot Robbie version, we've got the version that's like the star of her own video games and shit. Yeah. It's too much Harley Quinn, man. She's not a main character. She's not a protagonist, but it's like I think we've seen her in everything.
Messed it up. Like they've completely messed up Harley Quinn and Joker, both of them. Because I think the Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker, was the last one where it was good, in terms of live action, of course. Then you have the Jared Leto Joker, where it's just a writer's vision of what they think Joker is supposed to be. It's just like, okay, chaos incarnate. What would he look like? Oh, tattoos.
He has
all over
damaged on his forehead.
He's damaged.
Yeah. Exactly.
A writer's vision that was in Braille. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah. Harley Quinn has suffered that same thing. Of course, as you said, with Margot Robbie, everyone's just trying to make her this weird, whimsical person. At least in the Suicide Squad, the James Gunn one, they try to give her a bit of heart, with that weird tacked on love story that she had, and her relationship to Joker. But even then, they just revert back to, oh, look, it's a woman, Harley Quinn, yay, I'm crazy. That's it.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest injustices that they've done to Harley Quinn is like basically making the story try to make it more romantic when it's really a tragic story about her downfall. And they've slowly tried to remove that from her and make her into like Drinker was saying, like this, and also Uninspired, that's like whimsical, like main character, and it doesn't really work. She's supposed to be like a victim, and the whole which makes it much harder to take like what they're doing with her seriously.
Well, her entire character is defined by the Joker, and they keep trying to take the Joker out of it, so she doesn't work. That's literally why she exists, is because the Joker, and she's obsessed with him. But if you can't have her be obsessed with him and then never have the Joker in, it's fucking stupid.
Didn't she have a movie like? Yeah, she did have her own movie, right? Birds of Prey.
That's another one that we've forgotten about. That movie was so shit, like we've all blanked it from our memory. But yeah, they tried to make her work. Then they tried so hard to launch the Margot Robbie Harley Quinn.
I was going to say they're trying to cultivate that whole cross between the Joker's popularity and her and Margot Robbie's popularity, and it just worked.
Yeah, that movie probably set her career back by several years. Because it was such a fucking flop.
Barbie helped her though.
Then Barbie came out immediately after, and it made $1 billion.
So but Birds of Prey was what, 2020? I think?
2020.
Yeah.
So you're talking 3 years later. So there was a bit of a gap there where she wasn't struggling, but there wasn't quite a role for her.
A lot of filming had slowed down, so that may have come out a little sooner had there not been an unspecified virus of unknown origin that happened for a little while. So,
but they're also trying to make Margot Robbie a superstar, and I don't think that she has the stage, like the screen presence, at least to be as big as they want her to be. Barbie, I think, is an anomaly, but we have to see what Margot Robbie puts out next to see if her career is really, really gonna take off.
She's a tough nut to crack because I think she's a good actress. Not necessarily amazing. I almost think she might be hamstrung by the fact that she is so classically beautiful. It's almost like it's difficult to fit her into like any kind of regular role because she can't play roles like that. She's too attractive. She's too striking. But I don't think she necessarily has the charisma or the screen presence of other actresses. Like, I don't know, Scarlett Johansson or what's the other one? The actress that was in Thor Ragnarok.
Natalie Portman.
No, Kate
Blanchett.
Yeah, Kate Blanchett. Yeah.
Kate Blanchett.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, they're both like traditionally attractive as well. They just transcend it more.
They are, but I think they've got the charisma to become leading ladies, and I just don't know if Margot Robbie quite has that. I don't know. Maybe there's like slight X factor missing. It's hard to pin it down.
She got outshined by Ken, Ryan Gosling, and you look at something like Kate Blanchett in the movie Tar, and she's basically commanding that entire movie every single time she's on screen. It's great. Margot Robbie just doesn't have that screen presence. She's not as big as a superstar as they want her to be. That's the big issue.
I think that was what Birds of Prey fell down on. I think they thought she was a much bigger star than she actually was at the time. And like her just being in the movie was going to get loads of people in to watch it. And it didn't. Barbie's probably elevated her to a different level now, but I don't know. It'll kind of depend on her next movie, I think, to see if she's got that like actual staying power.
And even they wanted to make her the leading lady of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, didn't they?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was ever like locked in or if that was just a rumor.
Yeah,
but,
like a rumor. Yeah.
They are
an
all
female version.
Are they doing that? Is that?
I think they're still in talks about it. They want Johnny Depp to come back.
Some type of spin-off.
Bait and switch. They want him to bait and switch Johnny Depp, basically, and he just went no.
I wouldn't mind if it was like a companion to like the mainline series. So like we've got the Johnny Depp ones with Orlando Bloom and whatever. That's the main stuff, but we've also got these spin-offs where we've got like an all-female pirate crew. It'd be a fun thing to do, especially if they're all hot and they're all wearing
they wouldn't be
outfits. I know they wouldn't be, but like, you can dream, and there's always Pornhub if you can't.
Just saying, if you search out pirates by itself without the Caribbean, you'll find something else. Just saying.
Yeah. But like theoretically, it could be a cool little thing to do, and then like you maybe have them intersect at times for like a team up movie or whatever. There's a bunch of things you could do if it's implemented right.
I don't think the team up aspect would really affect it at that point, though. People are just so over that. It's like, everything's connected.
But I think what they're going to do is like this would just be a straight up replacement. It's like we're taking away all this these characters that you really like, Jack Sparrow, whatever, and we're going to replace it with this new bunch of personality free. Yeah, or something.
And if
yeah.
they want to put like,
daughter.
if they want to
who's
put,
better at pirating than he ever was?
if they want to put
whatever.
interest back into like crossover universes, they need to start crossing over some weird shit like Pirates of the Caribbean and Ghostbusters or something. Like they need to like really do something strange to get people being like, "What the hell's going on here?"
Pirates versus aliens or something.
Pirates versus aliens.
I can go with that. There's on that subject actually. There's a question here from someone saying. Sonny Close says on neutral ground, but how many aliens should it take to kill one predator?
Actually, probably quite a few. They'd be able to see it coming from a while away. So,
like 5 or 6, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
About that, if the predator can see them coming, like it'd probably take out quite a few with its
kill
plasma
more.
caster.
I'd say
the predator would have more trouble dealing with the face huggers, if anything, because they're smaller targets. They're more sneaky.
But the predator has like tracking, right? Yeah, it's tracking.
That's true. It does have the mask too. It depends on if they can, like what level of the face hugger is, because they have been shown to burst through metal. So
yeah, they can burn through it. I think.
Yeah.
It depends. Yeah, it depends if it's acid resistant.
Also, the acid.
I love how we're actually like giving this some serious scientific thought. As
this is like the most wiki walk open bar of a while. By the way, we've gone. This started out with Madam Web, and we're now asking how many aliens will kill a predator. This is great.
These are important questions that we need to answer, though.
That's how much we don't want to talk about Madam Web.
Yeah.
That just honestly, that answers the question more than anything we could possibly say. Is that we are talking about
who would win?
Everything else.
Hulk or the Thing. You start talking about everything else.
Yeah.
The thing is like never beaten the Hulk. I think he's beaten the Hulk once in their like 90 encounters. So it's just to answer your question, Reaper.
Yeah.
So he could win.
He can win, but it has to be a severely depowered Incredible Hulk.
Oh, so basically what we have in the MCU now then.
Yes, that version of the Incredible Hulk would lose to the Thing.
Fucking hate Mark Ruffalo.
He was complaining because he's not going to get a Hulk film, isn't he?
I mean, would anyone want to see it? Like, realistically?
Honestly, bring back Edward Norton and let him make a Hulk film. I'd be.
Name a bigger downgrade, like Edward Norton to fucking Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah,
like at least Edward Norton looked like he was. I was kind of on the edge. He looked like he was a little bit dangerous. He could do something like unexpected.
So he basically was just being himself. He was just a little crazy all the time, the whole way.
Yeah. And what was the deal? Was it just like he was meant to be difficult to work with or something?
Yeah. I'm actually writing a video on that, kind of similar to Drinker, kind of similar to your like production hells, like on the whole what ended up happening. It was like writing issues. There was a lot of he wouldn't do like press tours for them, and eventually got barred from them. There was a lot of stuff that happened with that movie that ended up hurting it in the long run. Because it's honestly not a bad movie. It's just that people like, because of all the negativity that was around it, it just didn't get a lot of
especially it had to follow up Iron Man. You know, that was it.
Yeah,
it followed up Iron Man within a month. That was like the closest two movies had ever been released in the MCU, because it wasn't an MCU yet. They were just being made independently.
It kind of, I think it might still have been handcuffed to the Ang Lee version of the Hulk as well, which was really shit, and like people just had bad associations, I suppose. Plus, it's not a terribly accessible character. Like Iron Man is cool. Like Tony Stark is a cool fucking character. The Hulk, not really. Like just a big angry green thing. No,
the Hulk
for most of the movie.
Yeah, the Hulk for the most part, you need to like really delve into some like essentially the psychosis of Bruce Banner, not the Hulk himself. The Hulk needs to be used more sparingly, which they did. They did do that in defense of the movie. They did do it. He was only in as Hulk in a very limited amount of percentage of the movie, but when he originally wanted to write that movie, he went really in. The original script was very in on the whole like mental back and forth between the Hulk and Bruce Banner, and then they kind of axed it for no reason. We're like, no, we need to get rid of this. People are not going to like this.
Yeah, it's in some of the deleted scenes, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, like the opening scene was supposed to be him going up on a mountain and trying to kill himself. So,
yeah. Bring Edward Norton back. Let him write his Hulk movie. Get him made.
Yeah, they said he kept coming in with whole pages rewritten when they was making that.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research on the movie.
But wouldn't it be nice to have a star who actually cared that much, that he was putting that much effort in? I feel like you don't get that now. Like they would almost proudly declare, like, yeah, I know fuck all about the Hulk. Just,
well, we did have that with Cavill.
They kick you out now. Look what happened to Henry Cavill.
Yeah,
exactly.
How dare you know the lore? How dare you respect the fandom?
I saw a great like tweet, and it was like the life cycle of Henry Cavill, and it was like be perfectly cast in a role, be delivered into like crappy, like underperforming movies, get caught up in the studio politics and crossfire, get fired from your franchise, and then get cast into a perfect role again. Like he just keeps doing that.
Yeah.
As long as he makes some money along the way, I'm okay with it. As long as
I mean,
Warhammer
yeah, but like you
right
hope
now.
that he's going to get some good like legacy to leave behind him,
Yeah.
because
Well,
you don't want your
Warfare-
career to just be like, oh, I was a really shit Superman that nobody liked. Like,
And
I
a
want
shit
him to be
Witcher no
happy
one likes.
with what he leaves.
yeah. Yeah, I want him to like get a project, and it seems to be like that with Warhammer, where it's like something he cares deeply about, and also he has creative control over it, so they can't fuck him over.
He's in the upcoming Ungentlemanly Warfare, which is
that looks good.
I think it's like next month or so, which looks all right.
Hopefully, it's better than Argyle.
Oof.
Yeah.
I didn't even see Argyle.
Argyle was Matthew Vaughn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
knew that
trust
was
Guy
gonna be
Ritchie
shit.
more. I trust Guy Ritchie more than Matthew Vaughn. He has a better track record.
Argyle was a terrible. Well, it was a good concept, I think, but terrible execution. And yeah, there's just nothing fun to be taken out of it, I don't think. And he was barely in it. He was in it for like 5 minutes at most.
I was glad that was the like 2 weeks I decided to not do anything YouTube oriented, because apparently that was just like, don't even bother seeing the movie.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone did. Like when a film comes out in January, you know it's in trouble. Yeah, like people have pointed out here, Jenna Ortega, she did a bunch of editing for the Wednesday script. Yeah, she pushed back on a lot of stuff that they wanted Wednesday to do because she understood the character.
Yeah, and by editing, she literally just came in and basically said, like, I'm not going to do this unless you rewrite it. Like,
yeah. But I respect someone who like understands that character enough to say, like, no, what you're writing is garbage, and I'm not going to perform it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a dying breed. It's a dying breed of actor who actually will fight back against somebody who against a writing staff. It's always a staff, a writing staff who is not interested in keeping the lore proper. It's like, what is there, like 7 or 8 of them out there now?
Well, I mean, you know, Jenna also knows that she is the star power on that show, so she knows that there is no show without her, so she can actually assert dominance in that way. A lot of the other actors nowadays, they can't really do that. Even Cavill, you know, because look, he just
didn't work
exited
for The Witcher.
Show. Yeah, exactly.
He
So
tried,
Cavill
he just got
running it.
I cannot wait to see the viewing figures for season 4.
Oh my god.
They're
Either
still
one's
ahead
in
with
it.
that?
I think. Wait, actually, no. That's a good point, because like, was it not paused during the strikes and everything?
Yeah.
I have no idea anymore.
We haven't heard.
They'll never bring it back. It'll just
Let me
stay
tell you.
paused forever.
Yeah, tax write-off by Netflix, probably.
Well, yeah, Uninspired. We were talking about it earlier today. We were talking about how like Cavill basically was the perfect cast, and then everything happened, and it's like we literally had this conversation earlier.
Yeah, this conversation this afternoon. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so it's apparently meant to start filming in March. And this is based on a report from late January. So this is like Radio Times saying that. So yeah, we're looking at
Who's the new Witcher?
Liam Hemsworth.
Yeah, it was one of the Hemsworth brothers, but not the one people care about.
Like the
They couldn't
lesser
afford
Hemsworth.
the leastest Hemsworth.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got some big shoes to fill. But the thing is, it's not going to fix the fundamental problem, which is the absolute shit writers and showrunners that they've got.
We need to replace Superman, so we're going to get Thor's brother.
Well, I'm sure there was a petition that was signed, and it was like, keep Henry Cavill, but fire the entire writing staff for The Witcher. And it got like hundreds of thousands of signatures.
Which would have been their entire viewing figures. So
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Netflix is bleeding money as well. I don't understand how they can even continue going with this, because I mean, maybe it's admitting defeat, but I don't know, man. Wouldn't you rather just say, yeah, we're canceling this, done?
Ironically enough, despite the fact they're bleeding money, they're still the only profitable streaming service of all time. So
yeah, because
I think just based on The Witcher, though, I think probably it's costing a lot more money to make than it's generating in like new subscribers and so on. So yeah, it's definitely a waste of time. But yeah, Netflix is probably going to be one of the few streamers that actually is left standing at the end of all this. Like Paramount Plus, that's bound to fold.
Which is weird because Paramount Plus is probably, like, looking at the stuff they actually have, it's a pretty good service. I mean, they have Yellowstone, they have like a lot of good stuff on
it's not enough.
It's just not enough.
Yeah.
That's
Halo. Yeah.
Oh,
Halo.
You're missing out. It's fantastic.
I honestly, like, I watched like the first couple of episodes of season 1 and just thought, nah, this is shit.
He starts to
I don't
feel
wanna watch this.
Couldn't
emotions.
get through it.
They make him take his chip out and listen to music and feel emotions. And I was like, what is this?
Have
It
y'all
would be
heard
like if
that
the Terminator starts looking at paintings and having a good cry and stuff. And, like, yeah.
Feelings.
Have y'all heard that they're calling him Master Cheeks online?
He got
Master
naked.
Cheeks.
Yeah, he got naked and showed his ass cheeks.
Yeah.
I'm not like a Halo guy, so I always had PlayStations growing up, so I never had an Xbox until I was like significantly older, and by then I think they were on like Halo 4 or 5 by that point. So I was never really a Halo guy. So for me, if the show bombs, I don't give a shit.
I've
There's no
completed like
Halo?
one Halo game, and literally the only thing I could tell you that fun, like a normie like me knows, is like the Master Chief never takes his helmet off. That is the one rule you don't break.
Well, yeah, it's like
the
Judge Dredd syndrome. So the Judge Dredd syndrome.
Yeah,
There's no Halo in Halo. We still haven't seen a Halo. There's nothing's happening.
It'll probably come in season 3 where they green like
we get
that.
Halo in season 3, the actual Halo.
Let me ask you though, how many girl bosses are actually running the show?
All of them.
Yeah, about so far four main ones.
How many girl
Fucking
bosses?
imagine my shock, man. Imagine my shock.
Helen, Angela, Lauren, and Olivia. Halo.
There was a girl who's she's half ginger, half black, and she has dinner with a half ginger, half black, blind gay guy.
Is it the chick from Falcon and Winter Soldier by chance? Is it the same actress?
It looks like her, but it's not her. It's another one. It's basically looks like her, but it's the most diverse dinner I've ever seen with like 2 people, and then they get attacked and they give the blind gay guy a grenade launcher. You can't see.
What can go wrong?
In fairness, if a blind person needed to use a gun, a grenade launcher is probably the best bet of
We standing behind everyone. It's like you're gonna hit yourself.
No, dude.
I just go, what am I watching?
Did
Friendly
you not
fire,
say
ladies
that
and gentlemen.
did they not like liquefy Cortana and pour her into like John's brain?
Yeah, they make the stupidest choices. Like for some reason, Cortana is. I mean, she's usually a clone brain, but they made her a full clone, then murdered her as brutally as possible. Then he turned into goo. Then he drilled it into his head. Then somehow, being goo in his head, she can project outwards and talk to other people. And when he doesn't have a microphone or cameras, it's just a skull.
What?
She can interface with when she's just goo in his head.
Oh, dude, Halo seems fantastic. This is very entertaining.
That actually might have redeemed it right there.
They retconned it, and she's back in a cube again because he just went, "That's stupid."
Yeah,
he died in the first season. He literally dies in the end of the first season.
And she wears him like a skin suit, doesn't she?
Yeah, like a meat puppet. She's just because he goes, Cortana, I can't fight because I'm just a super soldier. What can I do? Take control of my body because you're the real hero. And then the season 2 retcons it. He's just on an operating table and he's back to life. He was brain dead.
That is amazing.
Okay.
It just gets worse.
Well, subscribe to Paramount Plus, everyone. You can watch Halo.
Okay, but outside of Halo, they actually have some good content on Paramount Plus.
Well, like Star
It's
Trek,
not worth it.
Star Trek Discovery. Oh yeah, everyone's queuing up to see that, man.
Okay,
That's the
fine.
problem.
I'll back down. You guys.
It seems like they've got a couple of franchises, like legacy franchises, like Star Trek, and then like new stuff that they're trying to get off the ground, like Halo, that nobody wants to watch. And it's not enough to run an entire streaming service. It's got to be massive. Like their portfolio of stuff needs to be enormous.
Well, if Disney's not able to do it with their portfolio, what other company really can?
I mean, Disney's portfolio is enormous, but it's all shit.
Yeah,
that's the
I'm saying
I'm
saying if they can't even lean on their legacy stuff, then who else is going to be able to lean on their legacy stuff? Nobody
you can
has
lean into your legacy stuff on like Disney can do it, but after a point, if you open Disney Plus and the only thing you see are old Disney cartoons. Come on, man! Like you've seen all of them a dozen times.
It's gonna be fun to see which ones cannibalize themselves soon.
Well, Prime and Apple will win because they attach these mega companies that have nothing but money.
Yeah. Yep. I think Gary described them as almost like vanity projects. Like their real money is in like their other business. Like with Apple, it's like their technology they sell. With with Amazon, it's like their mail order business and all that stuff. And these studios are just things that they can afford to finance.
They spent $1 billion on the Rings of Power. That's how much money they waste.
Yeah, and they don't even care that they wasted the money. That's the crazy part about that. They're like,
I fucking refuse to believe that they spent like their actual production budget was $1 billion. I refuse to accept it.
Stole most of it.
It'll be a tax write-off. Like the bulk of it will have just gone to a Cayman Islands account, and like Jeff Bezos will have like an extra story put onto his fucking mega yacht or something like.
They didn't even have armor. They had armor. They had shirts with armor.
They had
you can get better armor at like Party City.
Yeah, they had dollar store mithril. That was it.
Oh, so cheap.
That show.
And so expensive.
I can't wait for season 2. By the way, I think it's going to be glorious.
When is that going to come out? That's like a year from now or something.
2028.
Jesus. Didn't they promise more battles? They just went, "Oh, we're just going to have more fights," and went, "Oh yeah, that's the problem."
I think Morford Clark says as well there's going to be more antagonists. Like, yeah, great. That was the problem with your show. And it's going to be all female directors as well, which is a sure sign of quality. Ooh. So good luck, Amazon. I was going to say, though, we've got another gentleman who's ready to join us. He is the goriest of people. He is Chris Gore. Welcome, sir. It's nice to see you and not your avatar.
Good to see you as well. How's it going, gentlemen?
Good. I am reliably informed that you have seen Dune 2.
I have seen Dune Part 2, but before I get to that, I have to weigh in on something because you guys were talking about Joker 2.
Yes.
So I know Todd Phillips. I've known him. He's began his career as an indie filmmaker, and Film Threat actually distributed his first documentary, which is G.G. Allen. It's called Hated. G.G. Allen and the Murder Junkies. It's about the punk rock artist G.G. Allen, who passed away while he was filming the movie. Anyways, so he had roots in documentary film. Todd Phillips started the New York Underground Film Festival, and a lot of his movies are rooted in indie, but also like, I feel like he's one of those directors and filmmakers like Chris Nolan or James Gunn, who's able to trick the studio into like, yeah, I'm going to give you what you want, but I'm also going to do what I want. But so you were talking about Joker 2. The first Joker movie is actually inspired heavily, and a lot of people talked about this, by Martin Scorsese films, 2 Martin Scorsese films, one, the King of Comedy, and of course, Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain that Joker 2, which is a musical, is inspired by another Scorsese film that most people don't know about called New York, New York, starring Robert De Niro and Liza Minnelli. And most people haven't seen that movie. It bombed when it came out. It was terrible, but it is not a typical traditional musical. And my feeling is, knowing Todd Phillips, he probably said, well, what next? What other Scorsese obscure? Because like to a general movie-going audience, King of Comedy and Taxi Driver are kind of obscure. To film nerds like everyone on this show, you're well familiar with early Scorsese, but New York, New York was a movie that tanked and bombed at the time it was released. So my gut tells me he's probably basing a lot of Joker 2 on New York, New York. So if you want to get a glimpse into what that movie might be, see New York, New York. I mean, it's terrible, but it was Scorsese swinging for the fences. It's Scorsese doing a musical, which isn't traditional. So, and Lady Gaga, I think, is actually very good, even though I'm not a super fan of her music, but it's like Taylor Swift, it's kind of pervasive. It's out there. So whether you know it or not, you kind of know the songs. But my concern about Joker 2 isn't that, it's the budget is $200 million.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we keep asking ourselves, what did they spend it on?
Well, the cast, because Lady Gaga got 12 million. I'm sure Joaquin got something that's
he was
in
on
line
20.
with that. Right.
That's still, so that still leaves 170 million, which is a lot of money.
Catering.
True. But I just don't know. Like, I mean, I guess they're also basing it on the movie was a success, but Todd Phillips' track record for studio movies is a bit spotty. Hangover, I think the first Hangover is great. The second one is unwatchable. So,
Yes, I agree with that.
It's watchable, but you have to be drunk to watch it.
Well, yes, it goes with it. But so, I just wanted to weigh in because I'm sitting here like, I got other work and whatnot. I'm listening to the show and I'm like, I know something about this. I have to weigh in. So,
well, let me ask you, and
sure.
I would ask you to do this for the benefit of our viewers.
Please.
If you were able to give us a spoiler-free impression of Dune Part 2, how was it for you?
It's fantastic. It's just, it raises the bar and it's everything I would have hoped for a Star Wars movie, which is more adult in storytelling, it treats its audience with respect. It's borderline R-rated because of some of the deaths, in particular related to deaths which may take place on Giedi Prime, right, with the Harkonnens and Fade Rautha, nay Baron. So I mean, I'm in two minds about it because I love the film. It's epic in scale. People comparing it to The Two Towers in terms of the epic nature as a war film is misguided. It's not as good to me as The Two Towers. Having said that, they're two completely different universes, right? One more science fiction, one more fantasy. So it's epic in scale. It pays off everything from part one. Part one was a lot of world building. And there is no, just to dispel rumors, there's no Chani being the girl boss. She is, as described, they change her character a little bit from the book, but in a way that's interesting. Like, she's a warrior in the book. She's a warrior in the movie. So, and they expand on her character. The thing that's different is she's more of a skeptic of Paul as the Maudit, right? As the savior who will lead the Fremen people into a holy war, attacking all the other great houses. So, she's not a skeptic necessarily in the book, but she is in the movie. So here's the thing, as a movie, me seeing it, and I really grew to love Dune Part 1. I saw it twice in theaters recently because they re-released it. And wow, there's so much world building, so much that's different. And I'll get to that. I have a very specific comment about that. And I grew to love it. Like Dune Part 2, there are very specific nitpicks I have, and they're all in the third act, so I won't get into it. And a lot of the nitpicks have to do with the fact that I'm very familiar with the book. Read the book when I was 14. The lead character, Paul Atreides, is 15. I really connected to the book. I've read it about 4 times, including the audiobook and then the other books up through God Emperor. So I almost wish, like, well, if I hadn't read the book, would I enjoy this more? And I think that may be the case. So I'm curious to hear what people who have not read the book, who've only seen the movie, only seen Dune Part 1, what they think. But yeah, so and before I get into anything, I want to say this that I appreciate about Denis Villeneuve and what he's done with Dune as a world. Filmmakers have become lazy. When you look at the original Star Wars, right, they have the plasma blasts. And then every movie copied that. And then there was the let's kit bash a bunch of models to make spaceships for our movie. Battlestar Galactica, Battle Beyond the Stars, a million other movies, right?
Yeah.
And Star Wars kind of set a template that lazily Hollywood just copied and hasn't advanced. What Denis Villeneuve has done with Dune and Dune Part 2 is change the language of science fiction, showing one, it can be more adult in nature. I mean, there's sex in Dune Part 2. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Benny Gesserit Bonin is a happening.
Not with Zendaya, because that's just basically gay porn.
So, I mean, they change bits from the book. I mean, yes, they are intimate, right? But it's all romantic, as would be in like a classic Hollywood film. Nothing's graphic in that sense. The violence, though, borderline. If you extend the frame, I mean, there are graphic, horrific things that happen involving swords and knives, which I applaud. I'd like to see an R-rated version of this. But what's interesting is what Denis Villeneuve did with the use of shields, with the use of knives, and I'm not sure, he doesn't go into it so much in the movies, but in the books, they have these laser guns, right? And they're, as a laser would be in real life, it's just a beam of light, right? It's an intense beam of light that can destroy things. If you, in the Dune books, they get into this, if you use a laser gun against a shield, you're effectively committing suicide.
It's like a chain. It starts a chain reaction. That's like a nuclear blast, basically.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. But the only way to get through a shield is to do it really slowly, and that's why they develop a unique fighting style where when you're going to stab someone, you actually have to push the blade in really slow because that's the only way to get through the shield.
Yeah. And so what I love about it in terms of the scale, I mean, it's so, parts of it are so, I mean, I had a smile where my cheeks hurt by the end of the movie. That's how much I was enjoying it. And I had a ton of nitpicks, right? I mean, the original Dune book published in 1965 is actually influenced heavily by Lawrence of Arabia. So you can see Denis Villeneuve going for that. Also, some of my other nitpicks have to do with the fact that it really goes into the world of the Fremen, the Harkonnens on Giedi Prime, and obviously, you know, you've got the Atreides and whatnot. And the Emperor you get a little glimpse of, right? But it doesn't go into the Spacing Guild, right? And the Spice, or you don't get, you're not going to see a third stage guild navigator. It's just not in it. But what I felt like the movie was also doing was setting up the Bene Gesserit series that's going to be on HBO. And I'm not going to get anything third act. They're setting up a third movie, which my guess, if I were to guess, because if you've read Dune Messiah, it's kind of an epilogue. It's like a novella. It's not even a full novel. It's very short. My suspicion is that he's going to combine elements of Dune Messiah and Children of Dune to kind of finish the story of the Atreides family. It's just, again, this is just speculation based on the ending. Totally sets up like a third movie. So, but if he's being accurate to Messiah takes place like 15 years later, right? Like, and Paul is in his 30s, an older man. So, but what, to get back to my thing, Denis Villeneuve is, Star Wars basically raised a bar in the 1970s, and people have just been trying to do that, to do effects at that level cheaper. That's why when you look at like things like whether it's Andor or Ahsoka or whatever, it's like, yeah, those are really good Star Wars effects. I've seen those a million times. What Denis Villeneuve has done is raise the bar a whole other level into adult science fiction. All of us have had the experience of reading a science fiction novel, whether it's 2001, Arthur C. Clarke, or the Dune novels or whatever. You read a sci-fi novel and you're like, wow, they should make a movie for adults that's science fiction. And that's what Denis Villeneuve has done. So, you know, high praise. I'm giving it high praise, but if you're a fan of the books, you're going to nitpick about a lot of things they left out, in particular in Act 3. Okay. So I hope
James Cameron.
I do have a question for you, Chris. So does Denis Villeneuve manage to put the intensity that he had in his early works? You know, his early works was really grounded. Prisoners, Sicario, Incendie. And does he manage to put that intensity into the sci-fi settings? Because I did try and watch the first Dune movie, but it kind of fell flat for me. And all of his other sci-fi movies, I do enjoy them, but I don't think that they are as intense as his prior work.
Well, he's said in interviews that basically Dune Part 1 and Part 2, it's one movie he broke into two parts. The intensity is there because this is a war film. It's guerrilla warfare with the Fremen versus the Harkonnens on Arrakis, right? So that's where, leading to, of course, a massive battle involving sandworms. We've all seen the trailers. That's no surprise. Or if you've seen the 1984 David Lynch Dune, all of that is there, and it's massive in scale. I will say this one thing I want to I'll keep it spoiler free, but I'll say this. The movie gets to about the halfway point and you're like, you haven't even introduced Feyd-Rautha yet. Like, where is Austin Butler as Feyd-Rautha? The movie stops and for 20 minutes becomes a movie on Gidi Prime with the Harkonnens. And it is effing amazing. Austin Butler is so chilling in that role. He is serial killer Patrick Bateman level, horrifying, where he danced right up to that PG-13 line where they could have easily made it R in many senses. I mean, it is graphic in your mind. If you've ever seen, it's graphic in your mind because of things they don't show. And it's a completely different world than Arrakis or Caladan, right? They have a black sun and they shot it with this infrared. So it's not black and white, but he shot infrared so that when you go out into the Gidi Prime sun, it looks different. Whereas if you're in some environment in Gidi Prime that's in a building, you see color. But then when you go outside, because of this horrifying sun, things look very different. And it gets into the world of like why Feyd-Rautha is being elevated to this level, the sort of fallout from middle of the movie. It's fantastic. It's so good.
I think this is kind of what you need because like the Harkonnens are such a fascinating faction, you know, and they're such great antagonists, like especially Baron Vladimir. You know, so it all makes for interesting stuff, and it's good to see that they explore that. I think that was the frustrating thing about Dune Part 1, where it just felt like it was the intro.
Right.
It was a 2-hour intro to the world of Dune, where we didn't actually get any of the storytelling that we wanted. It was just setting everything up, and so it's nice that they conclude it with this. And I assume this concludes the events of the first book. Like it brings us to the end of that. It
does, and it sets up the future, a third film. I'm fairly certain that they will make a third film, and WB Warner Brothers is looking on this as a franchise because they are spinning off that TV show on HBO Max, the Bene Gesserit series, which has been
I can guarantee. I knew they would fucking want to do something like that. Like when you see what the Bene Gesserit are, it's like, okay, of course they want to do a TV show about them.
Well, there's going to be, hopefully they'll make it R-rated with nudity and sex and whatnot, because if you know anything about the Bene Gesserit, I mean, it's Game of Thrones.
They're concubines.
Yes.
They're concubines. Yes. That's what they do. Like they shack up to like whoever's the leader of a planet or whatever, and like that's how they influence them through wives or concubines or whatever. No, I mean, it's good to see that. It's great to see movies like this. And I said this about the first Dune. Like, it's nice to see hard sci-fi making a bit of a comeback and actually having a bit of mainstream appeal. It wasn't a huge success at the box office. And I was actually kind of surprised that they even made a second movie, but it felt like a long-term investment, I suppose. This is, as you say, something they're going to build into a franchise, and it will become big eventually.
I do believe that it's going to be, obviously there's the one television series that's been discussed. They could spin off another series. I mean, this is, and also, look, Game of Thrones, George R.R. Martin was heavily influenced by Frank Herbert and Dune. If you look, it's basically, Dune is sci-fi Game of Thrones with great houses and fighting for the throne and the commerce and lots of sex. I mean, that's all in the Dune books. So I'm just pleased that it's like an adult science fiction that doesn't look down on its audience. And if anything, Star Wars should be embarrassed. I mean, not just because of recent television series where the franchise is, it's so dumb, it's insulting. And whatever you think of the Harry Potter series, that series of movies aged up with the audience, starting with a very, for children, the first Harry Potter films, the first 2 or so were for kids, and then kept getting much more serious in nature. And I feel like Star Wars has never done that. I don't know if it was you or MauLer who did a video about that, just complaining that how come Star Wars hasn't grown up.
That was MauLer. Yeah.
That was MauLer. Okay. Yeah. It's disheartening. And I really feel like Dune is grown-up Star Wars. And what I think it does successfully that the 1984 Dune didn't do is that Paul Atreides is not a good person to be admired.
Yeah.
He grows into a dark. You really see it's really the story of Anakin Skywalker in a way. In the book, it more goes into he's trying to kind of stop this terrible fate, right? Like, but he's becomes cunning and ruthless. You know, at a certain point. I'm trying to be very broad strokes with this. You've seen what it looks like, but I'll just tell you, there's so much to love. You've barely seen anything. Even the trailers, you think you've seen a lot, you really haven't. And my complaint about the film is, one, I think they could have been a bit more accurate to aspects of the book that I thought were very good. Two, it feels a little short to me. It feels like it's 2 hours and 45 minutes. It could have been 30 minutes longer, like 3:15, even more, like to actually get that third act where everything, at least, you know. And there are changes. There are little changes. We're like, oh, I can see why they made that change, whatever. There's a big change. I don't know if you want me to talk about regarding Aaliyah that's kind of leaked already. I don't know if you care about that, but
I'm just thinking from the point of view of our audience, because they can sometimes get a little bit touchy about having movies spoiled that they're really looking forward
quiet.
to. So.
Some people have been getting a little angry in the chat. Just
yeah, so we won't say too much, but like it's good to know that it does live up to the first movie, and
it's
better.
It's better. It's better than the first movie. It's better because it pays off. It's better because it doesn't have to do the world building. The heavy lifting of that was done in that. Now it's just, hey, we're with the Fremen. It's this ragtag group. How do we take out the Harkonnens? How do we solve the situation? And all the stakes escalate. So it's everything you're looking forward to. So I can't say it's perfect, and if you're a lover of the book, there will be issues that you have. So I think there's going to be the people who love the book and then people who are only experiencing the movie. I think that there's going to be a divide there. So we'll see. And but I hope that, look, I can't wait to see it again. I'm seeing it again this Sunday. And it's also one of those things where it's like, I saw it and I'm like, I'm still thinking about it. I can't stop thinking about it. Right. It's just, ruminating in my head of like moments and this and, yeah, I can't wait to talk about it with everyone,
Yeah, I mean, like the next open bar, hopefully we can get into it properly. But I mean, the fact that it's stuck with you and it's something that you're clearly passionate about, that's a good sign for all of us. And man, it's great that we just get intelligent, mature sci-fi like this that's finding mainstream appeal again.
See, that's why I hope it's a success, because if it's a success, there have been rumors that Denis Villeneuve wants to make a Rendezvous with Rama.
Oh, so, yeah, remake, right?
Yeah. So, I think he's going to make a movie that's not genre and then go make that. Right? There's rumors about another Sicario film, which is cool. But like, I think that this needs to raise the bar. Look, I think maybe part of the reason we're dissatisfied, generally speaking, with Marvel and Star Wars is because it's dumb. At a certain point, it's just effing stupid movies. And it's for children. And there are no children on this stream. And for the most part, I'm going to guess the audience, probably not kids,
Well, we have Halo.
Right?
Reaper is so focused on talking about Halo. He was like,
it is.
Like, I need everyone to know how bad it is.
Well, I can talk about True Detective.
Oh yeah. Tell us about that, because sounds like absolute trash.
Like people said, is it woke? It is beyond woke. It is.
It is 6 cups.
I don't know.
Woke.
You've got two characters competing for who's more unlikable. You've got Jodie Foster, who's just a bitter old woman, and then she's some boxer who's turned, and she's just a horrible human being. Like, they're corrupt, they're incompetent, they're just assholes. They treat every man like shit. They cover up murders. They're just horrible. And the mystery is there's actual ghosts in the show.
What? Like literal ghosts, like
literal
like
ghosts.
Supernatural.
There's a guy dancing in. Yeah, I'm not joking. There's a guy dancing. A ghost. Some woman follows a ghost out into the blizzard, into the wild, and he's just dancing. And then he points them to the body. And I went, "What the fuck?"
Oh, you know they
And
got
then-
greenlit for a season 5 with the same showrunner, right?
Oh, there's a zombie. There's an actual zombie in the show. And well,
What were they
happens is-
thinking? Did they just like replace their entire creative team for this season?
Yeah,
or what?
Oh, what's funny? Nick, what's his face? Paul, the guy who made the first one.
Yeah,
Anyway,
he has a weird name. He has a weird last name.
he apparently has been reposted negative reviews of season 4.
That's amazing.
And people, and he's reposting people going, "I'm sorry for saying season 2 was so bad."
Yeah,
It's like it's the Thanos meme. The Thanos meme is, "I must have judged you too harshly." But there's a guy who's frozen, completely frozen. His arm snaps off. That his blood is like, that's how cold he is. And then he just goes,
fuck's sake.
"Oh," and wakes back up. And they're going, "Oh, he's alive." But he's a zombie. His
I feel
arm
like you're
snaps
making
off
this
from the
up.
cold.
Like this can't
No.
be true.
I'm
Is
gonna
this
do a
real?
review. Yeah, it's
I
real. His-
remember season 1 being like pretty fucking good.
It
oh,
was.
Oh, season
was
1 of True
incredible.
Detective is fantastic.
incredible.
I'm certain Reaper's making this up. He's just like pulling
Oh,
random words.
oh,
He's like,
I'll-
I got
I'm
ghosts
gonna-
and zombies and aliens.
I'm gonna do no. There's a. He's not a technically zombie, but he's literally in the snow for 3 days. They snap his arm off, like his arm is frozen solid, and then randomly just goes, "Ah!"
They do like the ice. They do like the Snowpiercer thing, like where his like arm just like disintegrates because it's
No,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just
they
it's a
hit it with a
snapped off
hammer.
arm. They just grab his arm, and then he's in hospital, and he's like a zombie, he's just going, "Ah!" It's just like, and then randomly, he's roaring like moaning like a zombie, and then everyone leaves the room, and he just sits up and goes, "Hello, your mother," and just starts speaking normally, and I'm going, "What the fuck?"
God, at least with the True Detective, the good thing is that each season is its own thing. So season
Oh.
4 can be really, really bad. Well, season 2,
This-
3, and 4 were all bad. So
This
Yeah,
has been seen more than season 1. This is more of a success than season 1. It is the worst season. It is one of the two most unlikable since Galadriel and Velma.
Ooh.
That is how they are.
That's bad.
I hate everyone in the show. I hate all the writing. The supernatural stuff covers up the bad writing. So because there's a tongue. The tongue is the big clue that starts the investigation, and it's found on the floor of a research center. It's on a dead body that died 6 years ago, and we never find out how that tongue got there. The tongue. And she goes, "I found the interview," and she goes, "It's ambiguous." Yeah, because you thought of nothing. You didn't have an idea. You're an idiot. There's no tongue. It makes no sense. It's fucking stupid. And then,
yes.
I don't even get me. The tongue itself is even stupid because they kill a girl in secret, and then they go, "We can't let anyone know about this, so we'll dump her out where she can be easily found, and then we'll cut her tongue out to send a message to no one. No, that message is for no one." They cut a girl's tongue off for no one, which happens to be transported by a ghost into a research base, which gets found by Jodie Foster, who spends 9 episodes trying to find this secret underground cavern. If she only dusted for fingerprints, she would have found it instantly. She's a... but like everything I explain, everything I explain has to be explained 3 more times because it's like a web of retardation where to explain one stupid thing, I have to explain 9 other stupid things.
Please do this, Reaper. Go through every single episode of the season. And just,
are you going to review
do a
it?
play-by-play?
I've wrote the review. It's big because I'm just going, "You fucking idiot," every 5 seconds.
I wouldn't even bother with reviewing it. I would just, if I was you, I would just do a play-by-play like you just did for every episode. And I think
I'm doing a quick review and then all the episodes because she speaks the horrible woman number 2 speaks to a ghost who teaches her secret Aboriginal name. And she goes, "My name's Shlaklakwanda," or whatever. I don't know what it is. I don't speak Eskimo. And then everyone's going, "Well done, Eskimo." And she's acting like this big thing. And she's never cared about it. Why does the ghost tell her Eskimo name and not who the killers are? The ghost draws symbols. They leave tongues behind. But they don't just go, "Hey, this guy's the murderer."
It's amazing.
This is the thing. The ghost could just go, "This is the killer." this man killed me. And you just go, no, I'd rather leave you a tongue. I'd rather dance in the snow and point to bodies and be all cryptic because I've got nothing else to do.
They're going for the whole David Lynch thing, aren't they? Like, cryptic clues, like hallucinations.
Well, they try to pull it back and they're trying to give a scientific explanation, but they don't. They've established ghosts are real and they're stupid.
Ghosts are real and they're retarded ghosts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everyone must have got brain damage when he died because no one could just tell you what they want. And then they meet a woman. She meets the psychic woman who can see ghosts. And he goes, hey, excuse me, can you hide a dead body for me? And she goes, sure. I don't know who you are, but sure. And I'm just going, what the
You're almost making me want to watch this show now just for how stupid it is.
It's like a car crash and it just keeps going. And you're going, oh, fuck. Oh, there's something else now.
Oh, God. What's the length per episode, actually?
It's like an hour, 6 episodes. I feel every minute of it. It is just unbearable and it's fascinating at the same time.
That does sound amazing.
But she's so unlike. Okay, there's another bit. She's so horrible, Eskimo girl. Because I can't even remember her name. That's basically all she is, an Eskimo. So she checks her sister into a voluntary center. They say we can't hold people against their will. So she walks out and then she goes to the center. He goes, how dare you not hold her against their will? And he literally says, we can't hold people against our will. And she kicks off in the staff. She starts attacking the place. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Sounds amazing.
This is the greatest, on the spot review or breakdown I've ever heard.
Oh my god!
The thing is, I'm seeing so many comments in chat of people just saying he's absolutely right. This stuff literally happens.
There's a scene where Jodie Foster is trapped in a freezer, and the guy closes it. It's just a freezer with a glass door. She goes, "No, don't open it up." She's got a gun in her hand, and she won't shoot the door. She goes to look round for a metal pole to smash it, and I'm just going, shoot the fucking door.
Shoot the glass.
She smashed it with a pipe and going, you have a gun, you stupid.
She clearly never watched Die Hard.
Exactly.
Shoot the glass.
Just before we go further, I know that Chris and Tyrone, you guys are pretty much out of time. You got stuff that you got to do, so you have to sadly drop out. I want to say thank you to both of you gentlemen for joining us for this tonight.
Thanks for having us on.
Awesome
Appreciate
as always.
Nice meeting
Thank you, Chris, for your insight into Dune 3.
Dune 2, Dune Part 2, Dune Part 2.
Sorry, Dune 2. Yeah, I'm seeing Dune 3 in the chat there where people talking about it's got an IMDb.
It's the third movie,
already.
but it's the second one in this continuity.
Yeah.
Now, so Drinker, when are you seeing it? Because there's they're doing early access screenings on this Sunday.
Yeah,
as soon as I can, really, in the UK. So I'll have seen it by the next open bar for sure.
Fantastic.
So looking forward to it. Hopefully it's as good as the
first. I didn't get a screener.
Yeah,
I used to get them.
Hollywood hates me. It's probably because you talked to me at some point. Like they're like, nah, fuck this guy. Don't trust him anymore.
I literally have been like blocked on Twitter because you follow me. So yeah, that's probably true. I've clicked on people and I'm like, there's the only reason. It's the only possible reason.
Blacklisted in Hollywood. Well, what can I say? We've not been Stuckmanized, but it'll be all right. We'll get through it. But gentlemen, thank you for both of you coming on. For anyone who's not following Tyrone and Chris Gore, the links are in the description for their channels. Please give them a subscribe if you haven't already. But otherwise, gentlemen, I will say goodbye to you this evening.
Take care. Later.
Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty cool to feel like 14 again, listening to Chris Gore talk about that. I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, do some G4 stuff, man.
Yeah, G4 Tech TV. Yeah.
There was just one other thing I was going to talk about a little bit before we go on to doing some super chats, and it was Disney, the lovely company that we all enjoy. They have obviously come under a bit of criticism in recent months for making bad movies, and that's putting it mildly. And increasing numbers of people across the internet are complaining about the politicization of their movies, and their executives aren't taking it too kindly, sadly. I'll give you this little summary of the situation. It's from That Park Place. It says, an anonymous executive at the Walt Disney Company decided to blame moviegoers for the company's films bombing at the box office. It wasn't because they made bad films, of course. So Matthew Bologna, which is a great name, I've got to be honest, wrote an article last Thursday documenting how the Walt Disney Company's favorability has declined among Americans in a poll conducted by Quorum. They found that Disney had the highest unfavorability rating amongst other blue chip companies. It clocked him with a 21% unfavorable score. Comparatively, Sony has the lowest with just 5%. Anyway, it's probably going to change with Madam Web. They sound that, 26% of independents have an unfavorable opinion of the company compared to 8% of Democrats, which kind of breaks it up by political affiliation. But anyway, the real important thing comes later on when it says, in response to this article, an anonymous Disney executive informed Bologna that the fans are the ones that are to blame for Disney's films bombing. He said, everyone says it's the movies, stupid, which is an easy thing for people to say. More appealing movies are a great way to jump the political issues, but more and more our audience, or the segment of the audience that's been politicized, equate the perceived messaging in a film to a quality issue. He said they won't say that they find female empowerment distasteful in the Marvels or Star Wars, but they will say that they don't like those movies because they are bad. So make better movies becomes code for make movies that conform to regressive gender stereotypes or put men at the front and center of the narrative, which is what you're seeing now and what Bob Iger's pivot is about right now. Because, yeah, it's definitely not about making crap films. It's about, it's guys just can't stand to see women front and center in movies, apparently.
Yeah.
No.
So thank you, Disney executive. That really clarifies where we're all at with this. How to say that you don't understand your own audience without saying you don't understand your own audience, I suppose.
It's absolutely insane to see how divided they are. They're up in the clouds. It's so weird.
They have a hostile staff, though, because you can see Bob Iger wants to pivot maybe, but it's like all my employees will rip me apart.
What's the Bob Chapek? Well, Bob Chapek obviously found himself in the same position where, you had all this political stuff going on down in Florida where it was like they wanted to introduce certain bills and stuff there. Yeah. His instinct as the money man was, hey, let's just stay out of this. It's not our business. We're an entertainment company. It's not our job to get involved in political issues. That was the worst thing he could have possibly said, apparently, because his entire activist staff rebelled against him, staged protests, staged all kinds of troublemaking activities, and he was forced to do the most humiliating hostage video I think I've ever seen.
Which is weird, because that used to be like the norm. That used to be the standard, that companies would basically release these they would do these press releases about how they're not going to take stances because that's not their job. Especially like entertainment companies.
You can't do that now.
No, now it's considered like the death knell for whoever put it forward.
The only way you could do it is if you had, I don't know, someone like Elon Musk who literally owns the company and could afford to just fire everyone if he wanted to. That's the only time where the CEO could just straight up say, fuck you, I'm not buying into this political bullshit. We are neutral in all of this. We're not interested anymore.
It's weird because technically the statement that the fans are to blame for bombing is actually true in the sense that, yes, nobody went to go pay for your movie.
Yeah.
Yes, that is actually true, but it's because they don't want to watch what you made. But one thing that I was thinking about when I was reading that, actually, even if the movies were better, there's been like a social conditioning that we don't even necessarily need to go to theaters unless it's an event movie now. Unless it's something that you just need to see because everyone's going to spoil it. It comes out on digital
Disney
or
Plus,
Disney Plus 2 months later. And so there's definitely an issue. It's the one time I'll be like, okay, COVID is still affecting us in this way that there was a conditioning during that era to just wait for it to come out on digital distribution.
Yeah, day and date. I mean, Dune, that was what they did with the first Dune movie. It came out in theaters, and I think it was exactly a month later it came out on streaming, because that was what it was at the time. And even now, you look at how long it takes for a movie to come out on streaming right after the theater. Before, it used to be, what, 6-7 months? You could wait basically a whole year. Now it's 30, 45, maximum 70 days.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, there's literally such a massive issue now. Like, they have to get it out quickly.
Oh, we don't know anything about that, do we, Drinker? With our
I don't know anything about
videos.
it. I'm told that it's a big issue.
But I mean, there's like movies that are not even coming out
to the theater to see them. We went and bought tickets.
But like we even said it earlier,
Reaper. I do every time.
We even said earlier in this stream. I mean, like, there's movies that don't come out overseas until it's already on digital distribution. There was one, somebody said Iron Claw. I don't know if that was back. I don't remember if that was backstage or during the stream. But
yeah, like Iron Claw didn't come out in the UK until like 3 weeks after the US. Crazy,
dude.
You know,
the day Iron Claw came out in the
movie.
cinema, yeah, exactly. Like the day Iron Claw came out in the cinema here is the day it came out on digital. So it's like, I don't know. I can just watch it I can watch it at home and not pay the money, you know?
So like, there's a lot more to this than just, you know, they could scream all they want about like, oh, people are tuning out because of this, but this is a very multi-layer problem across the board for theater box offices.
It is, but like the fundamental issue is that people are not motivated to go and see Disney movies at this point because their brand is damaged. Like there used to be, like, Marvel movies were an event and you wanted to go and see them in the movie theaters because they were big, they were exciting. You wanted to see them first, and you wanted to see them on a big screen because that was what they deserved. They were big, spectacle movies. Now they're not, because they're crap, and people are less interested in them, and people are less interested in Disney movies in general because now the brand has been publicly damaged. Like it's out there now that Disney is a politicized company. It's partisan, and man, that doesn't play well with particularly American families. Like, just people like middle Americans, they fucking hate that stuff. And I think they don't make a big song and dance about it necessarily online. They don't stage big protests. They just don't go and see it. And that's what you're seeing now. You're seeing the results of that. The bomb after bomb after bomb. It'll just keep happening. Because Disney now has that reputation as a highly politicized company.
If only there was an American on the panel. Yes, that's exactly what happens here. Basically, and it's probably the same in most countries. You have your extreme sides, and then you have this swaying amount. Like, it's just like, oh, it's getting a little too far to this side, so I'm going to go this way. And it's been one way for so long, and it's been permeating all media that it's been a slow trickle, but people have gotten onto the pendulum of the other way. And it's the thing, though, that like when it comes to this, the statements themselves in these articles are like just boneheaded to begin with. It's like, oh, we're not making money because the majority of people don't agree with us. It's like, so then maybe you're not the correct person in this instance. Maybe you're wrong if the majority of people are not agreeing with the way you're handling things.
Well, it's not to bring it up again, it's the Simpsons meme of like, am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong. It's like that's pretty much what it is. Like, in what other environment can a business say like, oh, the customers don't want what I'm selling? It's the customers clearly that are wrong. Then they need to change.
Yeah,
you're a fucking business. Your job is to service your customers and provide them what they want, not make them take on what you want to give them.
And here's the thing: it's not even necessarily that they need to go against their and jump the complete other side and be like whatever they consider the opposite. Just go a little bit further to the center. It's not necessarily asking to go completely against it. It's just that's it. It's just don't
make a
don't be over here. Be a little bit closer, and that's it. You're done.
Well, it was like we can take this to, if you took the Marvel movies as an example, up until probably 2018. They were pretty much fine with this. They were apolitical. They were very much just centered. They were all about just telling a story. And people were loving it. They were absolutely lapping it up.
Yeah, I mean, they dipped into the like ideology a little bit here and there, but
Black Panther was probably the first time you got a really
It
overt
wasn't so
example
bad
of
though
it.
that it was
Black
front
Panther
and center.
was.
People, yeah,
Black Panther was terrible.
you can get
But
away
yeah,
with
Black
it a
Panther
little
sucked.
bit, but when it becomes the overarching, that's just everything you do. It becomes very obvious. If you do it once out of every 7 movies, people are like, whatever.
That's true because it's weird because when they had the all-female scene in Endgame, everyone was like, "What the fuck is this?" You know, because that just really came out of nowhere at that time.
But I think we knew it was heading that direction because we'd already had Black Panther, we'd already had Captain Marvel. We knew they were starting to dabble in this stuff and they were starting to concede to it by that point. But like up until I think Black Panther was the first time it was really overt. Like, oh wow, they're really going for like the political point scoring with this. You could probably just watch a Marvel movie and it was just generic fun. It was just
Oh yeah, dude. As someone who was in Africa and who grew up in West Africa, dude, Black Panther was laughed at over there. I remember going to the theater. People were looking at each other when we came out of the theater, and we were like, "Do we really sound like this? We don't have these accents. This is
that's exactly what we. That's exactly what Disney thinks of people from there.
It's a Disney-fied version of Africa. It's like if I was to go to like UK land at Epcot in the World Showcase and be like, that's like Disney's idea of what the UK is like everything's stereotypical as fuck. Like it doesn't match up with reality in the slightest, but it's like their version of it. So yeah, I can totally get why they.
Dude, it was
real
absolute
just
nonsense. People were just like, "What is this?" And when you go online, you see people wearing, the African kente and all that stuff in America, going to the cinema saying like, "Yeah, Wakanda forever," yeah, Black Power, and it's like, dude, people in Africa were just chilling. We just said, okay, cool, yeah, it's an action movie. That's pretty much it.
There's legitimately Americans who believe, like, unironically, that Wakanda is a real place. That's all you need to know.
It's probably the same Americans that can't find America on a world map.
But Wakanda was just Europe. Wakanda was just big skyscrapers with a mud hut on top. That was literally how they saw Africa.
That was the moment where, like, because that's like in the first 10 minutes of the movie, and I just thought this movie's gonna be so fucking shit.
Oh god. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. What like, too bad Tyrone is in here, but like, yeah, Black Americans, I don't know if that's what they see Africa as, like people riding rhinos and shit like this. Like, I don't know, man, dude. I went to school in a car. That was it. Like, I walk sometimes.
I think it got defined as like a cultural moment rather than a movie. Like people stopped seeing it as a film and it became a political symbol, I think.
I don't even understand how it got there,
there's been a genius marketing, I suppose. It's the same way. Yeah, it's the same way Barbie became like the biggest movie of last year. Like, it's incredibly good marketing that just targeted the correct audience in the right way.
Didn't it get released on a BLM month? So it's like
February,
yeah, and they also were
February 18th. Yeah,
they were also busing, like they were like in inner city schools were like taking the day and busing kids to go watch it, and like it was like this whole. They made it into a strange, like, not only was it a cultural event, but it was like almost like pseudo federal event in a way. It was very weird.
I likened it to the Soviet Union when Stalin would stand up and give a speech, right? And everyone just kept clapping for like 20 minutes because nobody wanted to be the person. Yeah, no one wanted to be the first person to stop. And so it just kept going and going. Well, yeah. And it's like nobody would criticize Black Panther. Nobody would say a negative word about it because it had to be this cultural moment that everyone.
I don't even get the appeal to Americans, because it's like, are they supposed to go to the cinema and say, "Oh, Black Panther, that's Africa, that's the motherland, that's where I come." I was like, I don't know, man.
There has been a push in the United States as well for, like, how to word this without getting completely canceled.
Let me say it, bro. I'm Black, don't worry.
No, so basically it's like, oh, look at what Africa could have been had like people not come and taken all of our shit. And that's essentially the way, and that's kind of, and that was kind of gaining momentum right around when Black Panther came out. So it kind of reinforced that thought process, and then just it rode that wave.
They used drums to open a wall. Never had the drums to open the wall.
well, it's crazy because after Black Panther,
water drums, oh Christ,
actual like Black American stars used to go, because I grew up in Ghana, so which is West Africa, and so after Black Panther came out, you had people like Kevin Hart, Idris Elba. It was like, they were all just popping in Ghana for some reason. I saw Idris Elba at the mall one day. I was like, what the fuck is he doing over here? So it's so weird, dude. Random. I don't know, man. Maybe that's what the shift was to everyone should go back to their roots, I guess. I don't know.
Number 2 is even better.
Oh yeah, Black Panther 2, Wakanda forever.
Yeah. That had a tough gig. Like,
yes,
you've lost your main star, and like, what we're going to replace her with? Of course, it's got to be a woman. But like, Shuri is the best you got. Okay, fine.
Yeah, I mean, basically, they probably were going to do that anyway, so it just allowed them to have an excuse. They were like, we'll just.
Didn't she get stabbed? She got stabbed right through the stomach, and she just walks it off.
She's fine, yeah.
It's just fine.
Okay.
Well, that's Disney's whole thing. Just get stabbed with a weapon, and it doesn't matter. Well, you'll be out of the hospital in no time.
It's the fact as well, like the fucking fish people have to attack Wakanda, and as far as I understand, Wakanda's like a landlocked country in the center of Africa, but there's a convenient river that runs right into the middle of Wakanda City, which they can just do, and that's it. And then Wakanda has to go after them with a giant submarine because they've got a navy, even though they're a landlocked country. Like,
and they're fighting them in the water. They're choosing to fight the fish people in the water. Let's not drag them onto land. Let's go to where they're strongest.
Let's fight them in the Sahara. Like, yeah, come on.
The last place they'll expect is the water.
Namor,
attack a man's strength.
Namor, El Niño sin Amor. It's like, come on, dude. It's so stupid. His name is Namor because he's the child without love. Oh, all right, dude. All right, cool. I guess.
Oh, it was hilarious. But yeah, so basically, Disney's entire problem is just bigoted fans. That's the reason that they're failing at the moment. It's not because they produce garbage films. It's because people don't accept their greatness, and they're on the wrong side of history. So, what can we say?
I am wondering, like, theaters are in trouble though. Like, that you have these occasional movies that are getting these big jumps, right? The Barbenheimer stuff, but that can't be sustainable for these theaters going forward. And I'm wondering if they're going to start maybe negotiating and how this would work, because like the distributors negotiate with the theaters for the most part on these like large scales. They pay negotiators. They're historically, like, a company I used to actually work for that makes projectors used to have a sweetheart deal with Disney. It's like all Disney films must be shown on these projectors. So there is negotiations involved. But
was you the security?
I was not. This is exclusively for the open bar. I am the unofficial bouncer here. But I actually worked on the projectors. I could like disassemble, reassemble a projector if I wanted. But the thing that I was thinking about, like, as we were talking about this, was like, will the theaters have to negotiate, like, hey, you can't release these digitally until we've like actually gone through a cycle and like let people go to the theater to see it. And I'm wondering when that kind of back and forth is gonna, because that's also part of this. Like, obviously shit films aren't gonna do well, but there's part of it is that people are literally just like, why am I gonna go if it's gonna be out in 45 days? Like, I could just wait.
Especially considering how expensive theater going. I mean, Darkhour, if you go with your family, how much do you spend on average?
I mean, I would assume, like, let's say you take 2 kids, like a wife and 2 kids or whatever, you're talking probably on tickets alone, if you just bought them without having any like discounts or anything, probably $100 on tickets alone.
Yeah, and then they've got like popcorn, sodas, all the crap that comes with it.
Yeah, so you're talking about, like, it could cost you $150 to go to the theater. Why am I going to do that if it's going to be out for digital distribution for, let's say you don't even use Disney Plus, let's say you just want to use it on like Vudu or whatever for $20 in a month? Like, why am I going to do that?
Yeah, $150. I could get like 3-4 lap dances for that. Like,
yes,
I know. I know. I'd rather spend my money on.
I mean, that's what I've been using it on. So it's
it's like you can do that, or you can watch the Marvels at a movie theater. Oh,
which does not include a lap dance, but does have a dance sequence. So
it does, yeah, just not the kind I would ever.
At least you have the theater to yourself, so that's an experience all in itself.
See, I actually have like a membership to my theater, so like I have built up so many free tickets over the years from like COVID and not going that like every time I want to review something, I'm like, it doesn't cost me anything because I've already paid for it years ago. Like I've won on inflation actually in a way. Like I paid for these tickets 2-3 years ago, so I'm actually winning.
I think what's going to happen though is like movie theaters now are waiting for the next big gold rush in cinema, right? We had it with superhero movies. That's kind of died a death now. What's the next big thing? It's probably going to be video game adaptations. And
I agree with that 100%.
And that will bump their revenues right up again. And you're probably going to get these big summer movie seasons that are just packed with billion-dollar movies. It's not going to happen this year.
Oh yeah, Borderlands. That's going to make the theaters a
Oh,
lot
that's
of money.
That's a TV show as well, isn't it?
That perpetually in development Metal Gear Solid movie that we always hear about.
Oh yeah, it's been in development for 20 years now.
Yeah,
can't wait for
Last
that.
of Us Part 2. We're getting that.
Oh yeah, but like take for example the Mario movie. You know that made 1.4 billion. Like,
that was like the first event movie of the year last year. So.
It was, yeah. Like because people kind of forget about it now because it was like April or something that came out, so it was like kind of before the summer rush, and then Barbenheimer kind of dominated the summer, so that's all people talk about. But yeah, Mario got there first and was one of the few movies that made well over $1 billion. So it's definitely there. The potential's there. It's not going to get realized with Halo or Last of Us or whatever, but like there's other stuff that I'm sure they will make. It's just a question of time.
There's so many video games to adapt, but after it's also depending on if they prefer adapting them as movies or as TV shows. You know, which works best for the video game format. That's the thing.
Yeah,
the Borderlands,
it depends.
They're making it into a movie. Yeah, exactly. Last of Us TV show works better than if it was a movie. I mean, I hear there have been talks of Red Dead Redemption. That'll probably be a TV show as well. So I don't know. I think it would be good, but man, I just really hope the theaters don't die out because, as Darkhour said, it's such a dire situation right now.
I think there'll always be demand for theaters. Like there's always going to be people who want to go and have that experience of sitting in a movie theater. It's just what formats they're going to take. Maybe it will be slightly different going forward.
Just buy all the equipment afterwards and call me. I'll just fix it for you at your house. You'll have a huge theater. You'll be fine.
Let's do a few super chats before we finish up.
The best part.
There's quite a few that's come in, yeah. Mr. Lucas says, where does The Bells rank for worst TV episode ever? That was Game of Thrones, wasn't it? Season 8. That's where Daenerys.
Yeah, is that the second to last episode?
Yeah, it's when she torches the whole of King's Landing.
Oh, I mean, I don't know I don't know where it ranks, but it's definitely one of the worst. It's definitely like the worst episode of that show.
To me, the worst one to me is where Jamie dies, man. That's like the worst. They assassinated his character so damn much.
That's The Bells.
Yeah, that is The Bells, yeah.
Oh, well, there it is. The last one. That's the worst.
I think the Battle of Winterfell is where I kind of knew they were fucked.
It's the shock. It's the shock value where the Night King just dies and everyone just went, is that it?
And fucking Arya of all people killed him.
And the fact that the first half of the episode is unwatchable because it's too dark.
Darkness.
Let's send our cavalry into the front lines. There you go. That's a smart
idea.
idea.
What were they even saying? They were like on Twitter, oh yeah, just check your brightness adjustments on your TV.
Or make something that's visible.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty bad, but there was so much other bad stuff to accompany it. I don't know. It's hard to gauge it.
Well, last episode, the Tyrion just like becomes Lord of the... What is it? Bronn becomes the guy...
Bran
the Broken.
He's king of the Six Kingdoms.
Just the guy that's like paralyzed in a wheelchair, warged off his tits. Doesn't even know
why do you think I'm
in.
here? He goes, why do you think I'm here? He went, you've done nothing.
The Four Kingdoms.
You've done nothing. Why do you think I'm here?
You've done nothing.
It turns out it's a horror story. I let everyone die just so I can become king.
Yeah, we got the worst.
It was the long con. He played the long con on that one.
Wayland Bucephus says, "Is it Dune or June?" I mean,
that's a
June.
That's a Mr. Brown joke. That's a Mr. Brown
I know.
Joke.
I always find myself modifying it now when I say it. I always try to pronounce it like Dune. You know, I don't want to say June. I want to do the British thing.
It's okay.
Dune.
You guys only invent like England only invented the language. They don't have to know how to use it at all. That's fine.
I can't speak it.
Dude, the only problem I have with like Dune is that no one knows how to pronounce Denis Villeneuve. Everyone says Dennis Villeneuve or Villeneuve. It's like
I always say it Villeneuve.
Yeah, Villeneuve. That's how you pronounce it.
Veal chop.
Oh, okay. How do you say his first name? Denis.
Denis.
Yeah. Denis Villeneuve.
Yep, that's good.
Oh, that'll do. Ghost of Drinker's Liver says the Borderlands film trailer premiered yesterday and it looks less than impressive. I'm not all that hopeful. What are your thoughts?
I
don't see how they're going to do justice to Borderlands. If I'm
So
totally honest.
Everyone's old. Like Kevin Hart's like a foot smaller than the guy has to be. Kate Blanchett's like 50 odd. Jamie Lee Curtis is like 70 when she's supposed to be playing like a 20-year-old.
That one baffled me. That one.
Oh, that's terrible. There's another one. They've seen a few extras, and one of them's like fat when she's supposed to be thin. I'm like, doesn't look good.
Body positivity.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Someone's not living in a scarcity environment. That's for sure. Samson the Mighty says, Drinker and Panel, my YouTube channel is almost ready. Which video editor do you guys use, and how long should a clip be to avoid copyright? The eternal question that haunts YouTubers forever.
It depends on the production and company. Sometimes you can get away with like 7, 8 seconds. Other times it's like 3 is too much.
If it's Universal, like 0.5 of a second is probably
don't even bother with Netflix stuff. Just put
Universal and Netflix are horrible. Universal is
3 seconds with Netflix works for me.
Yeah. Disney is like insanely generous. Like I don't know what it is about them, but you can get away with quite a bit.
Oh yeah, dude, it feels as if Disney can just re-upload the entire thing, and they'll just be like, "All right, cool, that's it."
And honestly, when it comes to the program, whatever one you find easiest, if you're just laying clips down next to each other and you don't need any specifics, that should be fine. I use Hit Film Express, which is a free one. A lot of people use Premiere, so you can kind of get away with it. Yeah.
I do more. I do more than you in terms of like the visual stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that could help. Depends on what you want to do visually. If you want to do a lot of stuff visually, Premiere or DaVinci is good. But
DaVinci's also good. I've been learning that one as well.
Yeah, but as Darkhour said, if you just want to put clips side by side, just a normal editor is good enough.
Yeah. I've always used VideoPad Professional. Like the transitions aren't as comprehensive as you get in other packages, and like the visual effects aren't as powerful. But yeah, like you say, when you're just doing side by side clip splicing and stuff, it's pretty basic. So it's fine for me.
My suggestion would be if you're early on, just use whatever you can use for free, because as you build up and get better at it, if you want to move on to a paid for service, then
Premiere is expensive.
Yeah, I would just if you're just getting started.
Not what I got it.
Yeah, I mean, me too. Don't worry about that. But
if you're just starting though, and you
is it the same place you watch your movies, Reaper?
I am a stereotype, all right? I'm a stereotype.
Samson also says, when Chuck Norris tells a Will Smith joke, Will Smith slaps his wife. Fair play. Master of Puppets, who's been a member for 5 months, says, Drinker, what is your secret to looking so young? For a guy celebrating 84 years of open bar, you look good. I know, that's it. It's clean living, you see.
Alcohol preservation. It's a really good preserver.
I've been literally pickled. Barry McCockiner says he's just become a new member, so thank you. He also says, MauLer, get Drinker to add people membership emojis. Never.
MauLer's not here, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he can't make me do anything. Samson the Mighty says, Drinker and Panel, an interesting question about art from any medium. Is art something that should stand the test of time for eternity, or is it to be enjoyed for a single beautiful moment, or both?
You can't have both of those things.
What?
Those are mutually exclusive.
Well, it's a tough question because, like, either way, it's served its purpose. Like, if you've enjoyed a piece of art briefly and then you move on, like, well, okay, it's done something for you. You've engaged with it. You've enjoyed it. Like, it's served a purpose. Or is it something that you're going to remember for the rest of your life? Again, it's served a purpose. Like, either way, it's done something.
I think it depends on on which media you're talking about. Like I always default back to comics because that's my like oldest thing that I would loved. And if you have like a Jack Kirby who his stuff has lasted forever because it's timeless, you can go back, and even if it's the writing's not great, at least the visuals are fantastic. And a lot of the newer stuff that is like very contemporary, I don't think is going to age well. So that, I mean, I don't know if that answers the question, but
you also pass it on to the next generation.
Yeah,
there's also that.
Yeah,
because if it lasts forever, then you can give it.
I mean, ideally, you do want art that's going to stay with you forever, or a movie that you'll always remember for the rest of your days. Doesn't always happen. Like there might be a film or a TV show or whatever that you watch, you enjoy it at the time, and then you kind of forget about it afterwards. Well, okay, it's not ideal, but like it's still done something.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of us on our deathbeds are probably still going to remember the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So that's timeless art.
The unfortunate thing as well, on our deathbeds, all of us are probably going to remember The Last Jedi. So,
do you have any regrets paying for The Lost Jedi?
Yeah.
Yeah, light flashing before your eyes, you're smiling, the 2000s, and then the dark times. You go
throwing his lightsaber, that's it.
Because it's going to get worse, because it starts off good, the 90s, the 2000s, and then it just goes off a cliff.
I always say that the 90s were like the last solid great decade, because like the 2000s started out, like you said, it started out well and then just nosedive toward the end. So
yeah, I'm just glad we got to grow up in the decades that we did, because like, man, the kids that are growing up now,
I honestly think I'm like the last proper decade, because I was born in 2002, so I think I'm like the last proper normal decade of people that grew up well. Then, you know, the rest of them, I just look at people that are like 15, I'm like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah,
you grow up with nothing and you like it,
dude. They grew up with TikTok and that's it. God.
Yep. Joshua says, MauLer, you've got to do an EFAP for the D&W trailer reaction from Matt Ramos, Soups, aka Pete Firebro guy. He rage coomed so hard, I think he needs help. What's D&W again?
No, I have no idea.
No, I have no idea.
Nope.
I'm not sure what that one is. Master of Puppets says, I don't think people understand what a Mary Sue is. I say this after a lengthy debate on how Ray Palpatine is and Mizu is not. Maybe I need a Scottish accent to make the argument. Love your vids, Reaper.
Cheers.
Scottish accent does help.
Yeah, so like, how do I sum this up quickly? So yeah, the basis of a Mary Sue is someone who is essentially flawless and perfect. She is able to master everything pretty much immediately. She's liked by everyone. She's always correct. She has no flaws in her personality, always does the right thing, always is a good person. Essentially is just the flawless, idealized vision of what a great character should be, with none of the human flaws that make someone actually interesting. So
it's also not
that's why
specific.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Gary Stews, which is the male equivalent, so it can apply to anyone essentially.
Well,
but
Gary Stews are different. A Gary Stew exists as long as he does cool shit. Whereas a Mary Sue is loved no matter what. A Gary Stew is a Gary Stew because he shoots people, he drives a car fast, he does cool shit. He stops doing cool shit, he's not a Gary Stew.
That's fair enough.
That's why Gary Stews are better.
But I think you could reasonably apply the criteria of a Mary Sue to someone like Ray Palpatine, in the sense that she learns every new skill pretty much immediately. She's always better than everyone else around her. She wins pretty much everything, and is essentially perfect in every respect. So that's why you would give her that moniker, I suppose. Josh says, also a mental image that we're cursed with now, Palpatine fucks. Apparently he does, yeah. The actor that plays him said that. So, yeah. Got to imagine. That's where Star Wars is now.
I mean, we all just assumed that happened anyway, but it didn't need to be confirmed.
Is it after he's crispy or before he's crispy?
I would assume, well, based on the amount of like the actual timeline, probably after.
The thing I want to understand is, like, were they willing partners, or did he have to use the Force?
Oh God.
This is what Star Wars is now.
Old men
RRTNZ.
fucking slaves.
Yeah.
That's the Star Wars. Oh, come towards me. She's going, no, it's a rape fetish. Oh my god.
There's an AI right now that's generating a film of that as we speak. RRTNZ says, Hail Drinker and Panel. Bonsoir, Felix. Just
Bonsoir.
rewatched Kubrick's 2001 and marveled at the genius in every facet of its design. Its influence on sci-fi film is as immeasurable as Chuck Norris's sperm counts. It's very true, yeah.
I was not
That
expecting
is the perfect metaphor. Yeah, I mean, you know, in terms of like influence on cinema and especially the sci-fi genre, you can't really compare to 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's not a film I feel compelled to rewatch necessarily all that much, but yeah, in terms of the visual spectacle, the ideas that it puts forth, the adaptation of the work that we're talking about, fascinating movie from that point of view. And yeah, Kubrick deserves the praise he gets for it, I suppose. Canada Plus says, hail to the panel. Any favorite Madam Web moment?
from the movie.
The bit where she's underwater, she gets hit in the face with a fucking firework and it blinds her.
And paralyzes her. I don't understand how it paralyzed her.
Oh
never
my
going to
God,
be
I didn't know
topped.
that.
Dude, for me,
I like-
it's the scene when she's in those weird flashbacks and she sees the reason why her mom went to the Amazon, and you see Dakota Johnson's acting. She just puts her hands in her face and it's like, oh my God, you went there for me. It's like, come on, man.
When she travels back, so like I talked about it on EFAP the other day, like the whole travel sequence just mind-boggling because of the year they chose, and she wouldn't have been able to just get on an international plane and jump. But she goes back to the Amazon and is like looking at the pictures and finds the tree from 20 years or 30 years prior, just unchanged, exactly the same way. I'm like, yes, because the Amazon is known for its ability to not change its like topography.
It's treasure map video game logic, man.
Yeah.
That's what they used.
It's thousands of miles of thick rainforest with insects and tribes people, and she looks like she just got out of a car.
Yeah,
she's clean, uncut, hasn't been attacked.
Like
I love as well how she's been on the run for like 2 or 3 hours, and like straight away it's already a front page of every newspaper. So, like, damn, those newspapers were fast in 2003, man.
I said this in my review. They did go out of their way to make sure that the Pepsi cans were correct, though. They, of all the things that they
sure.
made accurate, the ad
she
placement
doesn't open
of the
that
Pepsi
can.
cans.
She didn't open the Pepsi can. She keeps going to open it, goes, and keeps waving it in front of the camera.
I swear, like
Coca-Cola.
Sony movies are like 90% financed by product placement. Like, it is ridiculous. Kevin O'Neill says, went for a drug test this morning and I didn't get to test a single drug. I've been bamboozled. That sucks, man. I'm sorry for you.
False advertisement, man.
Yeah. TGV Monster says, I found a show on Roku called Babylon 5. I always heard of it, but if I just got it nearly completed season 1 and I like it. Have any of you seen it? Yes.
I never watched Babylon 5.
Yeah.
I honestly wasn't sure if that was a piss take. It's like, have you ever heard of Babylon 5? You guys ever heard of Star Trek as well? Yeah, Babylon 5 was a big deal, especially back in the 90s. It hasn't held up visually all that well, but the storytelling was incredible.
They change main characters in season 2, so like that's something you're gonna look forward to, because I think the guy did Mental Breakdown, didn't he, for season 1?
I don't know what the behind the scenes deal was behind that.
But yeah, they swapped him over, and it turns out that's why he changed them. So there's like a brand new protagonist for season 2 going onwards, but he's just as good.
Yeah. The Javianator says, Hail Drinker and Co. I'd like to know what your thoughts are on found footage horror films. What do you like about them and what don't you?
No,
so
I love found footage horror.
Again, it depends how it's implemented. It's like Blair Witch Project obviously set the standard for that sort of thing. There was then a lot of like, there was a lot of shitty emulators of it that never came close to. Yeah,
I think you can do found. I'm a huge horror buff, and found footage is probably my favorite subgenre of horror. And I don't know. I think there's so many different ways that you can implement it. So as you said, Paranormal Activity with static camera the entire time, or you can be on the ground filming with the people, or you can even have these sort of documentary. Well, it's sort of found footage / mockumentary, because at that point they're trying to do it, but they're using found footage. It's completely different from Blair Witch, of course. I guess one example I could use is Savage Land from, I think it's 2015. It's a low budget movie, but yeah, found footage is great, except that I do have gripes with it. I even made a video on Troll Hunter. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that movie, the Norwegian troll hunting movie.
Oh yeah, I remember it made a bit of a splash back in the day. I never saw it, but it's
actually pretty good.
It had like big kind of special effects moments, didn't it? Well, like epic destruction and stuff. But it was still found footage.
And but in my review, I have like a small segment dedicated to what I hate about found footage, and like the number one thing is shaky cam. It is absolutely horrible. My entire family can't watch found footage movies with me because they get motion sickness. So I don't know, man.
What was that one? Was it called Quarantine? Where it was like a zombie outbreak one?
Yeah, there's Quarantine is the American version. The Spanish version is Wreck.
Spanish, yeah.
Yes, yeah, that was it. I did quite enjoy that. I thought that was quite decent.
So one thing about found footage movies, they tend to follow the trend of the time. So that's one thing that I've always noticed. Like, yeah, obviously Blair Witch has their version, and then later on they started using like Skype calls and stuff for that. And then Paranormal Activity was mentioned. That was more like security camera footage. So it is a very malleable subgenre, which is pretty cool. That it evolves with the times of the technology in a sense, and you can always go back to what was older too. So that's I like that about it, that it does have a feel that it's always evolving.
Yeah. Canada Plus says, also to the panel, was Madam Web a Mary Sue?
I don't even know if she was a character.
I don't even know what she was.
A bit of a blank slate. She was kind of fucking retarded throughout most of the film. So like I'm going to say probably not.
She was just clueless, actually.
My favorite thing
from the water powers.
My favorite thing is that she she has these moments where she sees what's about to happen, and like then she's like, it happens, and like the only thing that changes, she doesn't like play it out any. It's just her eyes are a little wider or a little light.
Yeah, she just lets the dude in the ambulance die. She's like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah. Snow Queen Elsa joined us as a new member, so welcome aboard. Lady Fossilot says, happy Thursday panel. Some questions for everyone. Have you seen Masters of the Air or The Man Who Never Was, and your thoughts on one or both? So I've seen Masters of the Air. I'm currently doing like a live stream with Outcast Creative every Sunday, going over the latest episode. I'm quite liking it so far. There's been the occasional spotty episode, and maybe some of the CGI isn't amazing, but generally, it's really good stuff. Yeah, I like that show. I haven't seen the other one, the Man Who Never Was, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm quite liking Masters of the Air. It's got Austin Butler in it as well, and he's really good.
Nice.
Cold Brew says, if Obi-Wan didn't have the high ground, would he have won against Anakin? My money says, my money is on Anakin. He was out for blood. I don't quite understand how like altitude really played into that, because you still would have had to jump to get to him, even if he didn't have the high ground. So I don't know.
Did you just keep going higher? You just both run up the hill, both running for the top of the hill.
I would honestly like to see a what if Anakin won that fight and killed Obi-Wan. And
there was a game that did that, and
he just Obi-Wan would have won.
Yeah, that was the Revenge of the Sith game. Yeah, like, they actually had an alternate ending where he wins.
Yeah, I played that.
Stabs Palpatine.
I feel like that'd be quite a cool ending, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if it was still just a battle like one-on-one on even ground, I think Anakin probably would have won eventually, because he was younger and stronger and probably would have eventually overwhelmed Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah,
that's just my take on it. J.K. Fozel says, I've been watching Masters of the Air. The characters are meh, but the aerial combat and mission sequences are something special. Not really comparable to Band of Brothers, but that's a tall order. Probably true, yeah. It's not in the same league as Band of Brothers, for sure. And I think it suffers from character bloat, because there's so many of them to begin with, and you tend to get them mixed up, because a lot of the time they're wearing oxygen masks and stuff, so you can't even tell who's who. But yeah. The combat scenes are pretty good, and yeah, overall, I think it's a pretty good show. Mega Spidey Man says, "Hi to all, favorite and least favorite Bond, and why?"
No, Sean Connery favorite, least favorite, Timothy Dalton. Why? I just think Sean Connery is so suave in the role. Timothy Dalton, I don't think that he had enough. I don't know. Maybe it's just because he didn't have enough movies to flesh himself out. Kind of like what's his name, George Lazenby, right? Didn't have enough time to flesh himself out. So
I think Dalton was apparently closest to the Bond from the books because he was super like intense about getting the characterization right. Like he had the books on hand at all times, basically. But like not necessarily my favorite Bond cinematically. I think I'm in the same boat as you. Probably Connery was my favorite. I think he had the masculinity, the charisma, the physicality. All of those things just were in balance. But I got a real soft spot for Pierce Brosnan as well. I think he's gone up in my estimation over the years. Least favorite would probably be Lazenby, just because he was only in one movie and just felt so fucking out of place as the character.
Does Daniel Craig count? Because a lot of people,
he was Bond.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
He's probably my least favorite. And I agree with Drinker. I've always felt that Pierce Brosnan was pretty good balance of everything.
I would like to have seen Pierce Brosnan do Casino Royale in like the style that Casino Royale was done in, like much more grounded and gritty.
Yeah, not on a CGI background surfing with a.
That was that was the end of his tenure, basically. That scene.
I don't know about Reaper. You got any preferences for Bond?
Best Bond is, I'd say, Pierce Brosnan, because I grew up with him. Like, I know it's ridiculous. He's like outrunning a sunbeam on the ice. But as a kid, I thought that was amazing. I'd say Daniel Craig, because he's only been in one good movie. I mean, he's so different from the others, and like Quantum of Solace, Spectre. What was the newest one?
Skyfall.
Skyfall's okay.
No Time to Die.
No Time to Die. I do something to do with
terrible.
They just progressively got worse as he was Bond, which
I think it's the fact that he always just gave off this impression that he didn't want to be there.
He said that as well. He's just going,
pretty much, yeah. Like he was too good for Bond. It's like, well, fucking, what do you think you're meant to be playing here? I'm sorry you're not on stage playing Shakespeare, but this is what you signed up for, man. Blue Collar Loser says, great panel, Drinker. MauLer, Chris Gore did a great Dune 2 review. Got IMAX tickets for a Regal Sunday show. Reaper, the Black Cat. Some other guy.
I'm a skeleton.
Yes. I'm looking forward to Dune 2, though. TSM says, greetings to the panel and hail to the chats. Will you be playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? You ever do a happy hour on Final Fantasy? Would love to have a chat. I don't tend to do games when I do happy hours. It's all about movies. But I'm currently playing through the Tomb Raider remastered series. But Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out in the next week or two. So I will be playing that and streaming it probably. So looking forward to it. I enjoyed the first one. What's that?
You did a video. You did a video on the first one, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I really liked it.
Pretty good.
Call me crazy, and maybe it's just nostalgia kicking in, but man, I loved the original, and it was so fucking cool to see it replicated now with like modern graphics, proper voice acting and stuff. So I want to see where it goes, I suppose.
Well, the question is Tifa or Aerith?
This is a tough one, right?
That's Sophie's choice.
I know. I always came down on the side of Aerith. I don't know, man. Like, she is just so fucking beautiful when you see her in the remastered version.
Yeah. I'd go Tifa's body, though. Tifa's body.
She is. That's
hot. The thing. One's face, one body.
Yeah.
Tifa's also got the whole martial arts thing going on, which I love. So
she does. But you know what they did? They did such a good job of making both characters really likable and nice.
Yeah.
And that's such a rare thing with video game characters now, like female ones, where they're actually nice people and you actually just want to spend some time with them. It's such a crazy concept, but like, yeah, I feel like we just don't get that now.
We struggle. You're going, which one you're going to talk? Even in the sewer, which one are you going to help first? And loads of people going, who do I knock alive because they're both unconscious?
Yeah.
I was like, do I wake her up? Do I wake her up? I like her more, but I like her more.
I know, yeah, it's a tough call, but that's that's how good a job the game does. Like, you actually have to think about it for a minute. Next one. Blue Collar Loser says, you're not all gamers, but with Tomb Raider warning the Witcher remake, they're also remastering God of War 1 to 3. Are we going to see more remade for modern audiences? Yeah, that is the question. That fucking disclaimer at the beginning of the Tomb Raider remasters was absurd. You know, it's straight up like, we're so sorry for these outdated depictions of stuff, and we're really ashamed of these games. But
they call the developers racists.
Yeah,
Jesus,
but it's like, we're happy to profit off them.
Well, yeah, it's really sad. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the behind the scenes stuff of Tomb Raider, the original ones, but like, it was absolute hell for the developers. Like, some of them were basically just working 24/7 to the point where they would crash.
Yeah, well, they said, like, we never got a break. Like, we'd finish one game and then it was straight on to developing the next one. That's why they did The Last Revelation. And they actually looked forward to killing Lara Croft off. Because they're like, fucking get a holiday at last. And it's a shame. That was just the pursuit of money. But the core design games from back in the day were great, especially when you see them remastered. Like, the level design was awesome fun. You know, the pacing was great.
A question about the remastered. Do they keep the same mechanics as they did with old games? Because, like, I'm sort of a newer gamer, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to play a game with older mechanics, you know?
They do. So the best way to look at it is it's literally just a graphical upgrade. The mechanics are the same, the combat's the same, the controls are the same, all of it. It's just, it looks visually better. It's even got the same grid sort of layout, so you can time your jumps and everything. For modern gamers who are not used to that, it probably seems really weird and antiquated, but if you're used to the classic Tomb Raider approach, it's great to be able to see it. I think it's exactly what I wanted from a remaster like this.
It's like anytime I try to suggest somebody to the original Resident Evils, the tank controls just kill them. And they're just like, I don't understand how this works. It's very
I don't understand why people have such a fucking hard time understanding that. Like, as a kid, I picked that up, and within about 2 minutes, I wrapped my head around it, and I totally got it.
When they remade the Resident Evil 1 remake and they added the non-tank controls, I tried it out and I just was like, I was screwing up because my mind went back to like the old style, and I was like, okay, I gotta go back. I literally went back in and was just, nope, gotta start from the beginning the same way. So
yeah. No, it was a strange problem to have, but you know, I always thought tank controls just solved it the best way they could. Kedge says, greetings, Drinker, MauLer, and everyone else. Have any of you seen the video that Toho posted discussing the visual effects for Godzilla -1? No, I haven't actually.
No.
I'd be interested to see it though. Like, how did you make this movie for less than $15 million?
Oh yeah.
You made this for half the cost of a She-Hulk episode. How?
Jesus. 300 million on a, what was it? Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Fucking
Don't forget the Love and Thunder bobbling head in the middle of the movie that they actually changed for the streaming release. Jesus.
Yeah. I think we can make this look more shit. Metal Face Rose says, have either of you watched the South Park 25th anniversary concert? Highly recommend giving it a watch. 25th anniversary? I don't think I have, no.
I don't think I've ever seen a full episode of South Park. Darkhour always says that.
Yeah, I have given him shit about it. Don't even. I've literally called him and like, why have you not done this?
Dude, try growing up in West Africa. South Park doesn't go up on TV.
I start every video with a clip from South Park, and so it just goes to show you the difference here.
It's a good way to start. Mitch says, has anyone seen Netflix's Last Airbender yet?
No,
and I hate it.
I don't plan to. I've never been a huge fan of the property.
Is it legit shit, or is it?
Well, like it's more dull, and it makes stupid changes that don't need to be made, and it's like it feels kind of rushed. The characters, it's taken all the joy out of it. So like it's more serious, it's more darker, but it's not dark enough to really be like adult. It's just kind of everyone's depressed.
It's just edgy.
Okay.
Kind of, yeah. And then it's just shit, though. It's like the animation's just better in every way.
Okay.
No, dude. I mean, once the original showrunners, like the original creators,
they left.
Yeah, you know, especially when they cite creative differences, you know what that means.
Oh, yeah. Driving Ahead says, please watch Percy Jackson. Okay.
No.
The
I mean,
TV show? No.
The problem is I know fuck all about Percy Jackson, so I got nothing to compare it to. Like, it could be the best thing ever, or it could be like a terrible adaptation. I wouldn't know.
I had to rewatch the movies, but no, I'm not watching the TV show.
Michael Brocky says, if a man has an option and no woman is there to hear it, is he still wrong?
Yes.
I think
according to them,
I think what you meant to say was opinion, but yeah, sure. Yeah. Probably.
According to them, yes. Yes, they will come into the room after and be like, whatever opinion you said before I got here, incorrect.
Yeah. He also says, is it true that Disney is being sued for white discrimination? Are we finally seeing justice? I think they are, yeah. I think someone's suing them because their hiring practices for diversity, equity, and inclusion actually discriminate against white men. And so they are being sued on that basis.
They call it Jedi now.
What's that?
It's not die. It's Jedi.
Yeah, yeah.
Justice, equity, diversity, inclusion.
Yeah. They'll just keep changing it, but it amounts to the same thing. And yeah, I'd be interested to see where the case goes, I suppose. Could be interesting ramifications going forward. I was seeing that thing about like Google AIs today, in fact, where they were asking them to produce images of like the founding fathers or, Vikings or even like the bad guys from World War II, and they all produced like black people.
I saw that. Black Nazis.
It's like the AI straight up refuses to show you white people on screen.
It's like the SS. Christ. Hitler himself is like black.
Yep. It's like that's proper mask off time right there. Timmy04 says best GameCube game other than Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil remake, probably. I literally got a GameCube just so I could play that game.
I'll jump out of the Resident Evil games. That way it's kind of within the spirit of the question. I love Metal Gear Solid. I love Metal Gear Solid, the Twin Snakes, but since that's another remake, probably the most, I would say Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. That's probably the one I would go with.
Okay.
If you've ever played that game, it's got really cool like mental effects. It's like it's hard to explain in a short time, but it's a really cool game.
I've never had a GameCube. I've never played a GameCube.
It was a funny little console. I think a lot of it stemmed from Nintendo's obsession with piracy, and so they used like mini discs, which were totally impractical for data storage, and a lot of games had to have 2 or 3. Yeah, and as a result, it just never really took off as a console. It just felt like this weird, like late to the game addition to that generation. When you were talking about PlayStation 3s and Xbox 360s, you then had the GameCube. It's like, oof. No, sorry, PlayStation. It was PlayStation 2s, wasn't it? That was the thing back then.
The GameCube kind of crossed over the PS2, PS3 era because Nintendo was always like a little behind.
Yeah, that was it.
I remember I had the PlayStation 1 and I never had a memory card. And I went to me,
really?
Can you get me a memory card? And she never got me a memory. She got me a new game. I went, no, I need a memory card. And she kept getting me a game. So
you just had to straight up play every game.
I had to complete a game in one run. And I got the Hercules game. I remember this. I got the Hercules game. I had 3 lives. I had to get through 9 hours of like gameplay. I lost 2 lives straight away. And I just went, oh, it's over. But I somehow got through the game on 1 life, finally got to Hades, and he just one-shot at me, and I just threw it to the window.
Sick of this shit. I just want to be able to remember things, damn it.
Oh, memory cards. Damn. There was a different time, for sure. Last one here from Normie says, having Sydney Sweeney wear that ridiculous outfit in Madame Web is like the curator of the museum in Florence covering Michelangelo's David in a sheet. Fine art needs to be viewed in all its glory. That is true. I mean, at least we got to see her in all her glory at the premiere, so there's that.
I mean, we've seen her in all of her glory plenty of times. Don't worry. There's
and Euphoria, I think too.
Yeah. What was the line I used in my review? Was the perpetually topless Sydney Sweeney.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. I will probably finish up there for now. Like, there's obviously a few more super chats there, but MauLer and I, when he's feeling better, we will do them on Sunday to cover them in a super chat catch up. But I want to say to my panel here for Darkhour, Uninspired Reviewer, Reaper, thank you guys for coming on tonight. I appreciate you guys joining us for this open bar this evening. Have you guys got anything coming up that you want to make people aware of?
Well, Night Country, that fucking True Detective show. It's an Halo. A fucking piece of shit. Fucking the show ends with a female posse just rounding up all the men and throwing them into the ice. It is a feminist wet dream. That's how it ends.
Reaper's just been sitting around. He's like, I need to talk about this show more.
Just stewing over this fucking show.
A bunch of cleaners solve the crime before the detectives because they spill a bucket.
Everything you say about it just makes it seem more and more retarded, but I know you're probably telling the truth.
Oh God, it's just I'm forgetting half of it. Cleaners solve the case. They kill a woman and they leave the murder weapon in the cave. They use pollution to try and save dinosaur DNA. It doesn't make any sense.
I just love this. Just gets more ridiculous as it goes along. It's just like
there's magic DNA in the frost, and instead of just using a heater, they have to use pollution to get it out because we all know pollution is great for dinosaur DNA. It doesn't damage or degrade it.
It's the solution to all of our problems. So that's why we need more pollution, you see. Don't you understand?
It's so bad.
I honestly can't wait to see your review. I wanted to say as well, for people who are watching this, the first trailer for my short film, Rogue Elements, is going to get released tomorrow at around 6 or 7 p.m. UK time. So that'll be like 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern. So I guess watch out for that if you're interested. I'll put it up as a premiere so you get a bit of advanced warning.
Nice.
But that's going to be the first trailer that we've released publicly for it. And then the movie itself will follow on in the next month or so. So we're looking forward to that. But
pretty good.
I guess me and Uninspired left.
I mean,
then,
yeah,
right?
Uninspired,
you want to go first?
Yeah,
we're done. We can just cut out now. Me and Drinkers said we need to say.
Yeah, they're not going to say anything interesting. Let's kill it. No. Carry on, guys.
I mean, Darkhour and myself, we co-host a show called The Uninspired Hour or so, or else, two hosts. And so I guess we've got an episode on Saturday, which will be on my channel at what time is it? 1 p.m.
1 p.m. Eastern. Yeah,
6 p.m. British, and
it's already up. So if you could just go to his channel and you can actually see what it is in your time
in the live tab. Yeah, so we're covering Hard Boiled, the 1992 John Woo classic before he moved to Hollywood. And so we've got some good guests. We've got Lance from the Outcast Creative. We've got Copa Ex Machina, and we've got Northern English Bastard who's there. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. And of course, next week on Darkhour's channel, we're interviewing Darkhour,
Ron Mars, the inventor of my favorite comic book character of all time, Kyle Rayner, the Green Lantern of the 90s, who is a very controversial character and the kind of a controversial run, because that's the where the term fridging comes from that run. And it's going to be a pretty cool. I actually learned how to write comics from Ron Mars. So I have a relationship with him in that sense. So it's gonna be really cool to have him on. And then also for my channel, I'm trying to do I'm gonna do a Dune review. And I'm also working on a couple more evergreen videos. I think I mentioned briefly before. I mentioned I want to do one for Incredible Hulk that's kind of similar to Drinkers Production Hells. I'm doing the 8 most unexpected or out of place action scenes in the history of cinema. It's my standing 8 count. So I got a couple of cool projects coming up. On top of the reviews.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, my channel is kind of on standby right now, but I will resume normal video making mid-March, so that's going to be good. And I don't know if I'm going to review Dune 2, but I'm going to have I have some videos in the pipeline already, some analysis videos that I really want to get done. I have an old boy video that I've been working on for like 7 months, so I should get that out.
More like 7 years.
Yeah, more like 7 years, dude. But
that's since the movie came out.
I did like this one as well. Drinker, Ailstorm. All of culture could take a lesson from those boys. Indeed, I'm going to go see them play in Glasgow in like a week. So looking forward to that.
Nice.
Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye to everyone there. Thank you, everyone who's joined us for this one. Thank you to my mods for doing their usual awesome work. Thank you for all the generous super chats. And thank you to my guests, most of all, for joining us and making this an excellent open bar. So thank you, guys. Well, that is all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.
Bye.